Welcome to episode 100 of the Think Deeper podcast. We are incredibly excited. And to be honest, fellas, did you think we'd actually make it to this episode, to episode 100
I know
years ago?
Jack probably didn't because he'd had some failed runs before, some starts and finishes. Yeah.
A lot harder when you're on your own. Shout out to these guys for carrying it to 100.
I will say 100 is, I didn't see that coming.
I did not either, to be honest with you. I thought, hey, more time we get to spend together, which is going to be a lot of fun. But no, I had no idea that we would actually make to episode 100. It would mean nothing without you. And so to our listeners and to those who are watching right now,
The deep thinkers.
to the deep thinkers, we are incredibly, incredibly grateful for you sticking with us and listening to us and hearing our hot takes and our cold takes and some things that
giving feedback,
and everything else. So we're very, very grateful. Now, we are live, actually. We're all in the same place for those that are watching on our Patreon. If you are interested, as we always say, make sure to check out our Patreon, Focus Plus. If you go to focuspress.org/plus, then you can watch us in this small little office at the church building that we attend. But we just got done with Wednesday night. Will taught a great class, and so we thought this is a perfect time to come celebrate it. We celebrated downstairs with our family, and we wanted to celebrate with you and just to be here. And so we had a Q&A episode planned. We got some great questions, some really, really good questions from you guys. We're very grateful for that.
We're tackling a tough task here with this 100th episode.
Yes.
100 questions in 100 minutes. Gonna be tough, especially if you're a longtime listener. Then you know that getting our answers on anything quickly is not very likely. In fact, shout out, I've got my brother here. If you're watching, he's in the background running our camera. So shout out to Reese. When I first told Reese that this is what we were going to be doing, he said, yeah, there's no way that y'all are going to be able to do that. So
Challenge accepted.
Yeah, we're here to prove Reese wrong. So 100 questions in 100 minutes.
And we got a lot of questions that don't or didn't make the cut. And
Could not be answered in 1 minute.
I was going to say the reason is we can't answer it in 1 minute, but they are great episode topics. So we will be revisiting a lot of those. So if we didn't get to your question here, rest assured, we plan on getting to your question at some time in the future. But we thought it was worthy enough to not answer in 1 minute, but to actually maybe do an entire episode on or do a Q&A episode that hopefully we have coming up in the future. But with that, fellas, any other things we want to get into?
I think we're ready to roll. Let's start that timer. 100 minutes, 100 questions.
Reese is manning the timer, and go. All right. Fellas, I'm going to start us off here. And the way we're doing it, sorry, stop the timer. Just so everybody knows. Great start. Just so everybody knows, I'm going to ask questions, and Will and Jack are going to answer. And then Jack's going to ask a question, me and Will are going to answer, and then Will ask me, and Jack will answer. And that's how we're going to do it. We don't have time for all three of us to answer these questions, and so we decided we'd split it 33, 33, and 33. And the 100th, I think, is just going to be a very fun question for all of us to answer. Hopefully, we will.
That's a very serious one. I'm taking it very seriously.
Well, we'll see. Yeah, we may have to. Never mind. You'll see when we get there. But anyway, with that, I think we're ready to start the timer now that it's been explained. Reese, go for it. So my first question to you fellas is, what's the biggest doctrinal shift you've made since becoming a Christian?
Go for it, Jack.
I put down theological maximalism, which is just the idea of you can't just leave things out in the open like topical issues. You kind of stay away from issues. No, go into the issues. Get the scriptures into the issues. Like unity on a thin level is not what we were built for.
I'd say for me, I don't have a fancy name for it like theological maximalism, but I think when I got baptized and became a Christian, I was very everything is 100% black and white. It's this way, it's this way. In the Bible, a lot of that is in the Bible as far as black and white. It is this way, and it's not this way.
Sure.
I think the biggest shift I've made is that, there are some things that are left open for debate. There are some things that, everybody always says you can go to the Bible for every single question, and you can, but you're not always going to come away with a crystal clear answer on every single thing. And that's difficult to accept, but that's definitely something that I did not know when I became a Christian. So
that's a great answer. Great answer.
Right. On to the next one.
Jack, you're up.
What is your hottest sports take?
I'll go first on this one. I've made this one pretty clear. LeBron James is far better than Michael Jordan, and that's not a hot take for me, but for a lot of people, that's a pretty hot take.
I think we probably just had 20% turn it off.
Yeah, a lot of people turn
exactly.
that off. I'm sorry. Sorry, the truth hurts. It's not really. Can't control it.
Joe.
Football is overrated.
Oh wow.
Oh, that's a bad take. Oh,
football is overrated.
Cold take.
That's such a Joe take.
Yeah, a 10-second play, wait around for 45 seconds. 10-second. Oh wait, no, offside. No, there goes a flag. Another 5-second play. Guy runs right into his own his own teammate, falls, fumbles the ball. I mean, to me, yeah, it's just overrated.
Joe, you're 0 for 1 so far.
It's not that it's bad. I watch it. I watch football. I'll cheer. As hard as it is for the Broncos. However, I do think that it's overrated.
Okay. All right. I want to keep rolling. My first question: who is on your Mount Rushmore of musical icons? Musical icons. Mount Rushmore. Joe.
That's you.
Okay, I got the Beatles. I got
course.
Bob Dylan, Elvis, and it's not that I'm the biggest fan of those two, and
It's icons. Yeah.
but it's icons. I feel like they have shaped music, as did Mozart.
Mr. Yeah, like I said earlier, put a monocle on when you say that one. Come on now.
Come on,
Trying to
Mozart
show everybody
is great.
up.
If musical
Musical
icons.
icon and Mozart, I don't think I've ever been used in the same sentence.
Well,
I grew up with a Mozart poster on my wall.
No doubt.
Jack, what's your
No
answer?
doubt.
I had the Beatles, Rolling Stones, Bob Dylan, and Michael Jackson.
Guys, I'm sorry to
See,
say
you didn't
this.
have that poster?
Taylor Swift is going to be on that list at some point.
No, she's not.
I just
especially
don't
when
see
she
it.
marries the Chiefs guy.
Yeah,
Oh,
the Mary's
please,
the
no.
Chiefs guy. All right, Joe, you're up.
I see Michael Jackson maybe making the
Michael
list.
Jackson's got to be on the list.
Yeah, but above Mozart? Come on, man. Yeah. Anyway, you're king of the world for a day. What one change are you making?
I didn't know how to take it serious or funny. Serious, you just outlaw abortion. Funny, I'd have my face carved on Mount Rushmore.
As a fifth or remove somebody?
No, I was just right next to him. Like,
Oh,
squeeze
okay.
me
I
in.
like
I would love for you to actually have to decide who you'd remove.
I figured, so for mine, I figured outlaw abortion was kind of like, yes, of course. So I also figure out a way to completely eliminate voter fraud. That drives me nuts that we can't trust elections and such. But as far as a funny, I put ordering steak past medium is a misdemeanor.
Nice.
Is what I do.
Nice.
Cosign.
Yeah, if you continue to do it, it
There you
ramps
go.
up for sure. All right, Jack, what you got?
All right. If my thing would scroll. What's one thing you admire about each of your co-hosts?
Okay, that's a good one.
Pump my tires a little bit.
Yeah,
here, man.
Jack's
Thanks.
wanting to hear what we think about
I was
it.
going to say, no, I didn't realize that I was not going to get to answer this. I'm not like fishing here.
Sure.
All right. So I'll start with Joe. What I had for Joe, what I admire most about him is his insane work ethic, first of all. Guy works more than just about anybody I know. And then his compassion and care for people. It's certainly something that I need to work
He
on.
chose
and
two.
Joe-
I'm going to look like a jerk.
Sorry, yeah, I have two. Work ethic and compassion. And then for Jack, I had... It's, you know, I can't admire his just intellect enough. It's just his brain. I wish I had it. But also, Jack, your willingness to change positions on things, I think is very admirable. You know, it can be very easy for somebody to just get staunchly implanted into a position and not come off of it. But you're willing to change on things. So
Well, what's one thing you?
Sorry,
I,
yeah.
I answered that one. I don't know about you, but no. I did have your knowledge actually, and the reason why is there are people that aren't around Jack don't understand. If you ask him a question, not only has he already thought about it, he already has a detailed understanding and explanation for why he thinks that,
And can
he's
communicate it.
Can communicate it, and he's thought of every other take along the way. And this is on almost any subject. That is not a joke. You could ask about women's water polo, and he's got some take on it. It is unbelievable. And so, yes, I've always appreciated about you.
Don't ask me about that.
We used to do, if anybody remembers the sports
1 minute,
show,
Joe. One minute.
I know, Stump the Schwab. We wanted Jack to go on Stump the Schwab because I literally think he could have done it when it came to sports, but so many other things.
Impressive.
So I have that, and it's really your voracious, not just the knowledge, but your desire to know. Will I have your determination? Because you just decided to do the 70 hard challenge or whatever, and it's like, you just do it. And you've done that on multiple things where I'm like, you're doing what?
Yeah.
You can't be serious. And not only are you serious, you're like, we're going to do another one, which makes me look really bad. But I have your
appreciate it.
determination.
I appreciate
so
it.
It's good stuff, man.
All right, my number 2. What is your all-time favorite movie?
That's you
Is
first.
it me? Okay, that's right. I have, and it's a cleaned up version, Good Will Hunting.
Yep, I could have predicted that.
Yeah, I love that movie.
I don't know what Jack's is.
Jingle All the Way.
You got to be
There's
I'm
no
not
way.
kidding.
Is
I'm
that
not
your
That
kidding.
favorite?
cannot be your favorite.
I
movie.
love
It was
it.
a couple of Christmases
it.
ago. We were watching it, and I turned to Allison. I'm like, "This is my favorite movie." I'm not a big movie guy. Every year, I look forward to that.
Oh, man.
I laugh my
That's so
head
good.
off. I send my family 50 gifts of Sinbad and Arnold Schwarzenegger. I love that movie.
That is funny.
That's the best part
Didn't
of the
see
year.
that one coming.
That is good stuff. That's the best part of the year. All right, my turn. Most hated athlete and why in 1 minute.
I dodged this and didn't go athlete. My most hated sports person is Nick Saban.
Oh,
Really? Can I get a reason real quick?
I think he is obnoxious. I think it's pretty well documented he cheats. Just
Talk about people.
Another
Talk
20%.
about people turning this podcast
gonna
off.
say another
you're
20%.
angering a lot of people at the
I-
moment.
Come at me with it. I can't stand Nick Saban. I thought the funniest thing in the world was when they beat Texas for the national title and they gave him the Gatorade bath and hit him in the head with the cooler.
forgot about that.
I gotta watch that on YouTube. All right, mine is Kevin Durant. I think he's
Oh, really? Not Tom Brady.
not Brady. Nope. It's got to say it's Kevin Durant. Just very.
That's very true.
Mr.
kinda
Thin Skin.
Whine
very
this a
true.
lot. Yeah, I can't stand when people say anything negative about him. So.
Yep.
It's a good one.
All right, back to me. What's your favorite verse?
1 Corinthians 9:24. Paul, do you not know that those who run in a race all run, but one receives the prize? Run in such a way that you may obtain it. Kind of ties into the determination point you made a second ago, but it's kind of like run the race or don't, and run it to win. And I love athletics, and so that one is, I don't know, motivating for me.
I have an off the beaten path one, which is Micah 7:7-10. But as for me, I will watch expectantly for the Lord. I will wait for the Lord of my salvation. My God will hear me. Do not rejoice over me, O my enemy. Though I fall, I will rise. Though I dwell in darkness, the Lord is a light for me. I will bear the indignation of the Lord because I have sinned against him. Until he pleads my case and executes justice for me, he will bring me out to the light, and I will see his righteousness. Then my enemy will see, and shame will cover her who said to me, where is the Lord your God? My eyes will look on her. At that time she will be trampled down like mire of the streets. I love that because it's him saying, even though I have sinned, even though I'm not a good guy, God's still on my side. He's still my warrior fighting for me. So I've always loved Micah 7.
That's definitely not Philippians 4:13.
No, yeah, definitely not. Definitely not.
All right. If you could have dinner with one Old Testament and one New Testament character, who would it be?
What you got?
Okay, I have, getting to it right now, I have David, King David, which is kind of a no-brainer, but I just feel like,
That's a good one.
How
The
many
stories
stories
he could
could
tell,
how many
yeah.
stories could the guy tell? And I have Paul, which is also no-brainer, but once again, how many stories could he tell? Just, what was it like to write this letter? Or did we have any letters that we don't see in the Bible? Like any letters you wrote that, obviously that aren't inspired. If they were, they would have been there. It's not a canon issue, but just to know, like, what else? I'd love to get his take on the modern church.
I have Abraham. Always been a big Abraham guy. I think I've talked about it on the show before. And then John. I'm going to one-up Paul because John, as we're teaching through Revelation, saw some insane stuff, but also walked with Jesus. Paul didn't get to do that.
True.
And so
very true.
I think John would have multiple really interesting things to talk about.
It's a great one.
Good stuff.
It's a great one.
Okay, what book have you read that's changed your life? And do not say the Bible, please.
Oh, man. I'm out of order here. Will, go ahead.
All right, so I've shouted this book out before, Point Man by Steve Farrar.
Oh, that's right.
Just a great book. It's one of those. I read it when I was 15 or 16. It was one of those books my dad said, you will read this before you leave the house. And I'm glad he did. It definitely woke me up as like, yeah, I can't just be messing around as a young teenager. I have to be getting myself ready for marriage. I have to be getting myself ready for kids, and really kind of opened my eyes to just how big a deal that was. Not that I didn't know, but reading that book was like, wow, yeah, this is a really big deal. So I would say, obviously, other than the Bible, that would be it. Point Man, Steve Farrar, great read.
It's on my shelf. I'll have to get to it. Mine is a political theory book called The Machiavellians by James Burnham. And I read it in 2020 when like a lot of things were shaking up and it was like, what's going on in the world? And yeah, it's really influenced a lot of what I've written in the last few years, a lot of my personal changes. Can't go into it all right now in 1 minute, but fascinating book. Fascinating
The
book.
Machiavellian?
Yeah, Machiavellians.
Machiavellians.
Yeah.
Okay. Check that out.
As long as people of our intellect a little lower than Jack's could understand it.
Yeah, that's
what I'm a little
exactly
worried
it.
about.
How do you spell Machiavellians? We might start with that.
You'd find it very interesting. It's really good. Okay, there's a good one. What are your co-hosts most wrong about?
Okay.
Oh, boy.
I was struggling with this one for Joe until he said football's overrated. That's very, very wrong. No, Joe, I just pulled this out of thin air because I've thought about this. Joe, your take that you can't do a budget on a self-employed income, dead wrong. Dead wrong. Me and Joe disagree about that for sure.
It's not that you can't. It's infinitely harder when you don't know how much money is coming in.
You can still do it. And then Jack, your sense of style is just totally off. Not just your sense of style, but your position that style doesn't matter, I would also say, is just completely off base.
Fair enough.
I couldn't, full disclosure, I couldn't find anything like ultra serious that the three of us disagree with on.
That's one of the problems.
That's what I went
think,
with. Yeah,
that's one of the problems that I think people have with this podcast. Like, do you guys ever disagree? Like Halloween, and that's been a bad.
I thought about that. Your trick or treat.
They don't like my white socks, so
yeah, not with black
church shoes,
and
thanks.
shorts. But anyway, I have Will. Country music is just terrible.
I knew that.
It's just bad.
That's
like
predictable.
It's not good. And then for Jack, you actually, I don't think you like the world of therapy like at all. And I'm a therapist, and so it's kind of like, yeah, that we probably disagree on how that goes. So I think that would be what you're most wrong about is that. But the problem is, I agree with you on a lot of your takes, therapy-wise. I think there are a lot of people that don't know what they're doing out there, but yeah.
In your specific case, yeah.
Yeah.
All right, my number four, I should say. If you could witness one event in the Bible, which would you choose? One event in the Bible to witness, what would you choose?
Resurrection. I mean, yeah. the Son of God came down, died, and rose, like raised himself from the dead. It's kind of tough to top that one.
I was going to say it almost needed the qualifier. You can't say the crucifixion, can't say the resurrection, because they're the obvious ones. The parting of the Red Sea, if I'm going to take
I thought
those
about
out,
that one, yeah.
That'd be pretty powerful. Creation. I mean, I don't know.
Yeah, I was gonna say creation would be. Yeah.
The one I thought of was interesting was feeding the 5,000. Like,
Yeah.
how did he do that?
How did it taste?
Well, I'm a big food guy, so.
Yeah, you know.
This fish is hard.
How would-
There's all the people
I
sitting
think
around like,
Jesus
this is all
probably- Is this
salty.
sourdough bread? No.
Probably roasted a good fish, man. I mean,
That's very true. This is flounder.
All right, Joe, number 5.
Sorry.
You're number 5.
Sorry. You're both the oldest boys in your families. Best and worst parts of being the oldest.
I think it's cool to be around for your younger siblings' entire lives. Like, I remember stuff about you that you don't remember about you, which is really neat. And then worst part is you kind of get the lumps of your parents are kind of learning along the way. You're learning things along the way that you got to watch and you're like, oh, don't do that because that gets you disciplined. I didn't get to watch somebody else do that. So yeah, I got that.
I had very similar answers. I put for the best parts of it is you basically don't miss out on as much. Like, I can, for the youngest, like you just miss out on more of the family trips. You don't, you don't remember them as much and all that. So very, very similar. And then as far as the best, you kind of get to do things before your siblings do. So you just kind of the seniority part is cool. But the worst part is your younger siblings get way more leash than you got.
Yeah.
Like that is just undeniable.
We're just better kids.
Younger kids just get way more leash and the parents get lax. That's just proven. So.
Yeah. That thing of, well, you can't do that until you're 17. Okay, well, I'm 17. All right, take your brother. Like,
He's 14. What? Yeah. That's exactly right.
We were so mature. They recognized that my maturity. See, Reese is nodding. He knows.
something
Reese isn't
like
even the
that.
youngest.
Far outstripped your
Something
maturity.
like
All right,
that.
you're number 5, Jack.
All right. Who, for the two of you guys, who is your dream Godly Young Men podcast guest?
I got Tebow. Having Tim Tebow on
that is great.
would be
Whoa.
super cool.
That is so good. I didn't
know.
even think about that.
If Tim Tebow, if you run across this, somehow, some way, we would love to have you on the Godly
Regular
Young Men
deep
podcast.
thinker, Tim Tebow.
Yeah,
right.
exactly.
I had Joe Rogan, and the reason why
Give you
is
a boost.
have me. Yeah, exactly. Have me on yours. I could use 13 million listeners to the
Yeah,
Gym
no
podcast.
kidding.
That'd be
That
all
would
right.
be
That'd be
nice.
all right. So that's not the last time you'll hear about Joe Rogan here. So
All right, my next one. I'm very interested to hear y'all's thoughts on. What is one thing you confidently know you are very good at?
I hate this. Is you
Sorry,
sound
so
like-
on the spot here.
It's so
Yeah,
uncomfortable.
so uncomfortable.
I do believe that I'm good at hockey.
He is.
I believe I'm good at hockey.
Nice.
Explaining ideas. That feels weird, but it's kind of stuff you guys already said a
This
little
is
bit.
true.
So I feel like I can illustrate things well or help people understand them.
Yeah, you do it every day, which is very good. Okay, number 6. If you could travel anywhere for 1 week, where would you go?
So we've got another question later on about like places you haven't been. So to clarify, this is just anywhere. Where would you go?
Anywhere you could go for a week.
I'd go to Hawaii. That's pretty easy for me. Beautiful beaches is awesome.
Colorado, now that we don't live there, I would go
yeah.
spend a couple days in Denver, go up into the mountains, see stuff that we didn't see. Is like, hey, we moved away. Like, why didn't we ever go to Four Corners or something like
Eat
that?
at our favorite Mexican place 4 times.
Of course. Yeah.
Oh yeah,
What's your answer? Curiously, I know this is your question, but we got time.
London.
Nice.
Actually,
Yeah, that's your
London.
city. That's
Yeah.
true.
I love London.
All right.
Sounds
back-
so pretentious. Sorry, that just sounds really pretentious.
you can listen to Mozart
Vatican
in London.
City.
Well, did you see the gym episode on getting cultured?
Mm-hmm.
That's
I think Jack skipped that one.
Yeah, exactly. You need to go back and catch it with his socks.
I was taking notes furiously.
That's right.
All right. My question.
Yeah, you're number 6.
What is your hottest food take?
It's me, I think. French toast, objectively terrible.
Ooh.
I do not like French toast. And it gets that reaction every single time, so that remains my hottest food take. I'm not a fan of French toast.
It gets that reaction for a reason.
Yeah.
Soggy
French
bread,
toast,
man.
so
It's just like, I don't know.
With a little crisp, and then you dip it.
can't do
Oh
it.
man, it's perfect. You're gonna love this one.
Oh boy,
It's the exact opposite. Chicken and dumplings is very overrated. It is not good.
it's not at the top of my list, but it's pretty good.
Chicken and dumplings
It's
is
a
not
half-baked
good.
idea.
Oh, nice. Yeah, it's
I think
just
my
not
wife
good.
made you chicken and dumplings one time.
No,
Rachel, if
she-
you're listening,
No.
She made whatever that is that she makes with the
on cornbread. Yeah, on
Bro,
cornbread. That's right.
That's unbelievable. But that's not chicken and dumplings. And look, I've had my mom's, I've had other people. Shout out to my mom, amazing cook. I think she made it one time. I didn't like it then either. Like, I just don't. It's soggy. It's gross. It's like soggy biscuits that weren't fully baked.
Like French toast. Sounds about right.
No, there's a crispiness to that.
All right.
Okay. What you got?
My turn. What is one thing? This can be a trait. This can be a talent. that you want your children to learn from you? And we're going to take out the spiritual. Obviously, we want them to be Christ-like and godly.
Will just wants us to look like jerks.
Take that away.
Arrogant jerks.
What would you... Yeah, exactly. What is one thing... No, but what is one thing you're like, I really want to pass this on to my kids?
I do want to pass on my people skills. Because I do believe, like, as a therapist, I genuinely like talking to people. And I genuinely am not... I don't struggle with social anxiety. And that served me very well to, like, most rooms I walk into, I'm pretty comfortable. And not in an arrogant way, just like I'm curious about people. I love talking to people and learning about them and everything else. And so I want my kids to be curious about other people and just to enjoy talking with them. And so, yeah, I feel like no social anxiety, you know, like people skills.
That's a good answer. I like that.
Yeah, it's something I don't like fully have right now, but I'm working towards and growing in is self-discipline. You know, I don't want it to be hard for them to get out of bed in the morning and have a routine and
as he's
take
lost
care
like
of
100-something
themselves.
pounds.
Yeah,
he
you're really
doesn't,
bad
he
at
doesn't have it yet.
self-discipline, Jack.
But there's still stuff where it's like, all right, get your act together and do your job, man. You know, it's something like that where I don't want them to have to start that from the ground up.
My answer would be that or self-awareness is a big one for me.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, yeah, that's background of me.
Reese, how are we doing?
This is flying. What?
See, we're not going to do 100 minutes.
Yeah, we're doing pretty good. We're cruising,
yeah.
man. It means we can take a little longer. No. Okay, if you could have chosen, this is question number 7, just so anybody
For
following.
you,
For me.
you're number 7, yeah.
And I started. So question number 7, if you could have chosen any career path, what would you have been?
So I'm assuming NFL athlete's not a choice because, you know, I don't have the genetics for that. Financial analyst or advisor is what I put. That's all. I've realized that fascinates me a lot. And, you know, love talking money. I love, you know, researching.
Helping people who think they can't budget.
Exactly. Stuff like that. No, but I would have needed it. The problem is I didn't develop that until, like, kind of too late. Like, and kind of discover that passion. So, yeah, going back, I would say financial analyst or advisor.
Yeah, I mean, like, I couldn't become a professional athlete, but I always thought the general manager side of it. And so, like, being in NHL, you know, making the trades, signing the players, knowing the salary cap, you know, that kind of thing would be a lot of fun. But you have to start in at the intern level and, like, know people. And it never would have happened, of course, but it would have been fun.
That would have been fun. That's a good one.
All right, back around. Let's see. We did
number 7.
Food take. Who's your least favorite Bible character?
I struggle with this one because, like, obviously, like, Judas, Jezebel is kind of the villains of the Bible. That's kind of a lame answer. So I was trying to come up with something other than that. You know who really gets on my nerves? Is Solomon. Dude had everything in the world. God gives him wisdom. God gives him, you know, riches. Literally, God hands him everything imaginable, and the guy still messes it up. And, you know, marries 1,000 women and worships other gods. Like, what are you doing, man? Like, just get it together.
I have Samson.
Yeah,
I can't stand Samson.
He's an idiot.
Man. He's an absolute idiot. I mean,
he's like the Rob Gronkowski of the Bible.
That's so true.
Total knucklehead bro, gym bro, roided out.
Like, seriously, you have all the strength, and then you get the chicks, and then you get in trouble with the chicks, and then you, like, kill people, and it's like, well, cool. I guess you killed the right bad guys this time.
You're supposed to say chicks.
Am I not? Know. Sorry, I don't know. Either way, I just feel like, what an idiot.
Yeah,
and he never really has a good redemption, and he commits suicide. Like, that's his end. Is he commits suicide, but he took out a lot of Philistines with him.
I mean, it was more of a, what's that samurai term, the seppuku or whatever, you know, like the honor killing.
This guy.
Here we go. Yeah.
But his faith in God also at the end, sort of, like, to
kind of. I mean, it kind of comes back around, but after he's made
to take out his enemies, there's a little bit of typology in there.
I'm curious, what's your answer?
Laban. I can't stand Laban.
The guy's a jerk, yeah.
He's so obnoxious. He's slimy, you know, the switching the daughters out, but then coming back, his own daughters and grandchildren, he's like trying to cheat them out of stuff, and it's like,
that's very true.
What is wrong with you, man? Take, yeah. And you get 2 glimpses of him when he's giving Rebecca away, but then with his daughter, I mean, like, he's the worst.
So Jacob's not your least favorite? Just kidding.
That was if I had to answer what you're most wrong about, it's Jacob, so we'll do that later. Yeah. That's another episode.
All right. My number 7, what is your favorite holiday food and drink?
Okay. My favorite holiday food is the honey baked ham with, like, the crumble on the outside, you know, where it's just, it's so good.
That's really good.
And then you put it on, so you eat it, and then when you have leftover, you take the King's Hawaiian rolls.
Sister Schubert rolls.
Or Sister Schubert is great. And so it's like the ultimate Thanksgiving food because it's better than the turkey, just to start out with. And I know it's a hot take for some people. It's better than the turkey. Tastes better. It's juicier, everything else. And then you get to have it as leftovers. It's amazing. People aren't going to remember this one, but one of the drinks that I love the most, they don't even make it anymore, is cinnamon Pepsi. Everybody remember that?
Oh, yeah.
They made cinnamon Pepsi.
That sounds really good.
They did that for a year or two.
Yeah, they did it for a year or two right around Christmas. And I remember, because cinnamon's my favorite spice, I love Pepsi. It was like a match made in heaven, and they stopped it. So that was my favorite drink. But I really do like...
So if you were king of the world for a day, you'd bring that back?
Yeah, exactly. I'd bring it back. The cranberry Sprite that they bring out, or the ginger ales, like cranberry ginger ales, that type of stuff around this time I really like. I'm a big soda guy, which I know you're not, but sorry.
I'm a pecan pie guy. I'm going to try a maple syrup pecan pie one instead of the Caro, because that's kind of weird, but still, I'm going to try that this year. And then my wife is a big fan of peppermint mochas, and
That's
it's kind of girly to claim that, but I always get a sip of hers, and I'm like, yeah, I'm going to order that.
Really good.
Yeah, peppermint mochas are legit.
That would be my answer for drink.
That's so good. Okay, number 8. What's the biggest prayer you've seen God answer in your life?
A wife. I mean, like that was one of those, because I got married older than you guys. You guys walked right out of high school or college, and all of a sudden you're married. And,
It's just
the
amazingness of us.
Yeah, it really, something like that.
Magnets,
Yeah.
That's right.
It was my style constantly.
Yeah, exactly right.
And I can't say chick magnets now, I guess.
Can't say it.
All the women I asked out while wearing white socks, they finally got through to me.
That's what
no.
it is, yeah.
No, it's just
It is
took
a big prayer to answer. Sorry.
No, it took a number of years for Allison and I knew each other for a number of years, and prayed that God
great.
would open that door, and He did. So
That's
it was
awesome.
a good one.
Wife's a big one. That Joe's next question has to do with wife, so I kind of set that one aside. Having healthy kids was a big one.
Yeah.
And I've realized I'm putting 2 answers down for a lot of these, so I apologize. We got time. So
We got time,
healthy
yeah.
kids was a big one, but also just the position I'm at now, the financial stability. Didn't really have that, a year or so ago, and so that's been a pretty big recent prayer blessing that God has really come through for. So
Good stuff.
All right. We should say that some of these are listener questions that we wove in, and so some of these
True,
are actually
yeah.
from you guys.
Was
and
that
so-
one that was a listener question?
No, this next one is, and so it's going to look like I'm putting you guys on the spot a lot, but I think this was Sissy's fault, so blame her.
Yeah.
What is your biggest regret?
Ooh, and I gotta go first on this one. Yikes. I don't, not to be arrogant here, I don't have like a ton of like, man, just really messed it up type of regrets so far. Honestly, the biggest regret I have is that I did not finish school because I was in college, that is, because me and Rachel got married. I had like 100 credit hours and needed like 120. And got married and then got a pretty big time, pretty demanding job shortly thereafter. And so school kind of went on the back burner permanently. And so I wish I had just kind of gutted it out, stuck it out. And yeah, I was working a lot of hours, but I could have finished 20 credit hours pretty easily. So wish I could have done that. I'm probably still going to go back and do that. But that's probably my biggest regret. Nothing major.
Well, I have some major regrets. I've made some bad decisions in my life before. And one of those, or the biggest regret I'd say, is sleeping with my wife before marriage. That's something that if I could go back and get a hold of younger Joe, be like, you idiot. Just, yeah, don't make that mistake. I think that has potential to ruin a lot of relationships. Nearly ruined our relationship, in-law relationships, things like that. So, yeah. And nothing really good comes of it. You say that, and every parent's like, well, of course, don't do it. And you go, okay, well, I won't do it. And then it becomes like really, really difficult. And then, you convince yourself otherwise. And so there are reasons don't do it. And that's...
I would say that not that this is like a reason to do it. We say nothing good comes of it. It's a story that you can give an account to other people to say, look, and you're open about it. I think that's a thing that helps people.
And that's why
is
I
a good
didn't put
thing.
porn on here, is like, man, that's what I do every day. I get to help people. So do I have regrets in that? Absolutely. But at the same time,
God uses it.
God uses it, and He used this one as well. I just wish that other people, like, it hurts other people. The porn, it does as well, kind of in a roundabout way, but it's mainly mine. This is like where I failed to take a lead in that one. So that would be my biggest regret. Thanks, Sissy, for putting us on the
Also,
spot.
Jack put that on his list, so he wouldn't have to answer that.
Yeah, exactly. How nice.
No,
Yeah, what you got?
yeah, I had not getting more serious about self-discipline until earlier. It was when COVID hit, and there's all this stuff about like, well, if you're in better health, you got better chance, and if you get sick and all that, I was like, well, I'm 30 years old. I should probably do this now. So
Yeah.
and not investing in Bitcoin in 2014.
No
when
joke,
I was about to. I was like
Jack
finger
Larry
on the
was.
trigger, and I just didn't. And
And
so
you would have had, I think, wouldn't you calculate, like 60 grand or something?
I wouldn't have a house payment.
Could you imagine
No.
what kind
Oh,
of
wow,
Think
it's a lot
Deeper
more
studio
than
we could have if Jack had
Seriously.
invested in Bitcoin?
You idiot.
Yep. It's all of our biggest regret now.
Yeah, exactly. All right, my number 8. What is the question you have the hardest time answering about the Bible? So, like, topic, basically.
God's sovereignty as it pertains to free will.
That's okay.
Yep.
I was afraid we were going to answer the same a
Yeah.
lot. That's where I am right now.
Yeah.
I know we have free will, the degree of which we don't have ultimate free will because
How much does God weave in things that He takes our free will? Does He ever take our free will? I don't know.
the fact that everyone is born to parents, so you're not a blank slate. You're raised with a childhood that is outside of your control, lends you towards certain tendencies and all that. Well, that's not ultimate free will. You're not a blank slate. So
Yeah.
That's heavy stuff, man.
It is very, very heavy, and it's one of those, like, what I get frustrated with is those in the church, because obviously there's like a Calvinistic aspect of this, right? And those in the church are like, well, haven't you ever heard this one? And they give like one verse to it, and it's like, stop.
That doesn't explain
If
it.
you give me a one verse answer that's supposed to explain this, you know nothing of what you're talking about. So let's go back to the drawing board. Like, there is so much around the free will of God, or the free will that we have, and how God, well, it's anthropomorphic language of what he's trying to say to Pharaoh and such. Man, it's just a rabbit trail. It's deep. So yeah, that would be my biggest thing that I struggle with. But I am curious on yours. Did you have one?
Yeah, it was similar to that. Like, how does God's providence work? Basically, like, obviously, I believe He's active, but how active? So similar. I would say similar. Yeah.
Okay. What has been the biggest unforeseen blessing in your marriage? Something you didn't foresee. I mean, we can look at it. We just recorded one on sexuality. Like, sex is a blessing, and that's great when you're in marriage. There's a lot of blessings. You could look at your wife's cooking. You could look at the day-to-day just for relationship building. But, like, what's one unforeseen thing?
The encouragement, there's the thing about, or the verse or whatever about, I don't know if it's a verse or not. Now I'm drawing off the top of my head. If you want to go faster, go by yourself. If you want to go longer, take two. And yeah, I mean, there's things you got to slow down and do together. And, there's less productivity in some ways, but other ways, just coming home to somebody at night or just having somebody there to tell you that you did a good job and to, encourage each other is really neat.
Yeah, mine was similar. Just kind of you literally always have somebody, like, you have a bad day, you got a really tough week at work, you always have somebody who you can just kind of just collapse on, just, talk about, man, I'm really struggling with this. Like, when you're growing up, yeah, you have that with your parents, but, it's tough in teenagers. You don't really have it. Man, when you're married, it's nonstop, and it's really cool. The other thing, that just, again, two answers here. Lifetime travel partner. Yeah. That's pretty cool. That's, not that I didn't see that coming, but it's like, I guess I didn't think about that.
Yeah.
Like, you had a lifetime travel partner. It's pretty cool.
It's good stuff.
Did you have one?
I had no blessings in my marriage. No, no.
Alyssa doesn't listen to the podcast,
exactly,
so,
so she won't catch us.
She's not a deep thinker. Is what you're saying? I'll tell her you said so.
Wow, I think deep enough for the both of us. No, no. Yeah, I didn't answer that one on my own, but there's just a million and one, and I think having somebody to just decompress from the day, like, yeah, it, like you said, it's foreseen, but you don't know how much into the encouragement thing.
And how much it helps.
You just how much it helps.
You can't measure it.
Yeah.
All right. Like we had said, only two guys can answer the question. We're going through these so fast that we can kind of add the third guy a couple times here. Let's see. So I asked you, what's a career or personal accomplishment you want to achieve in the next 10 years?
I've got 4 answers. I'll go quick.
Wow. You're a busy guy.
We won't be answering all 3 of them.
I want to have in-depth notes on every single book of the Bible.
Nice.
Nice.
That's for as far as spiritual. I'd love to write a book. I thought about something for young people, kind of motivating, kind of the determination thing, like get it together. I don't know. That's kind of long term. I want to get really good at guitar, and I want to be able to score 80 in golf. In the 80s in golf.
Nice.
So that's probably towards the 10-year end of the goal. But yeah, that's
lots of golf.
4 quick ones. Yeah.
Okay, that's good stuff.
That's on 9 holes.
Yeah, that's exactly right.
I'm still trying to break 80 on 9. Yeah, well, now I look like an idiot. PhD.
Joe's not doing anything.
I literally had 3 letters. PhD.
That's pretty big.
That would be in the next 10 years. That, and the other thing I was going to say initially was I want to start a counseling agency where I have people underneath me, working and like counselors and get some that I would be their supervisor, but then also start offering intensives, sexual addiction intensives. Having worked at a place like you can help a lot more people a lot quicker in that. There's a lot of money in it. There's a lot of everything in it. And so I feel like you got to have the PhD to do that, but those are the ultimate plans, at least as far as it goes
Nice.
business-wise.
Nice.
Cool.
All right, my number 9. What are your top 3 favorite Think Deeper episodes we've ever recorded? And y'all struggle with this one for some reason.
I didn't as much. He did.
I guess Joe did.
I did struggle with this
Top
one.
3 favorite Think Deeper episodes.
Okay, I had the Christmas episode of last year where we were just shooting the breeze.
Oh, the holiday
episode.
episode.
Holiday
Yeah,
episode.
that was
Like,
good.
that was just fun. Had a good time on that, as I did with number 2, which is Halloween. It was a good time because it's one of the only times we've ever actually argued about anything, which has been
And it wasn't just like a joking. No, we
legitimately disagree.
Well, it was a roast back and forth. We had some fun with it. But
Yeah, exactly. And then Masculinity Matters. I think that's when it kicked off. And we had been talking about it a lot, but I feel like when the Masculinity Matters hit, like I got very, very serious and reading a lot and things like that. And that's been, it's been very helpful. And then Gym Podcast started. So, yeah, Masculinity Matters I have as number 3.
All right, I had Halloween, the self-defense episode. I felt like we researched that well, studied our Bible well. It was something I've pointed people to a few times, and they've come asking me. It's just a useful thing that people have had questions about, and I thought we did a good job with it. And then 3 church practices you would change. I thought that was very fascinating.
Yep.
That one really got people talking.
That makes my
I
list,
had people talk to me about it or say things they would add to their list, and so that was a fun one.
What makes your list?
Halloween. I'd say the 3 church practices, but not to copy Jack. I'll give 2 more. The 10 reasons, 10 decisions or reasons or whatever that we stayed faithful.
Yeah.
I really enjoyed that episode. I thought that was a pretty valuable episode. And then the episode that we went off on Disney. I enjoyed that one a lot. I'm trying to. I was actually just now looking. Pride Month. It was the Pride Month episode.
Oh, that's
Protecting kids,
right.
boycotting, and fighting back
right.
on June 5th. Yeah.
It's good
We
stuff.
for the last 15 minutes of that episode, we dropped the hammer on Disney.
And that was a take that has aged like a fine Coca-Cola.
Yes, yes. It is
Let's
aged
move
very
on.
well.
Let's move on.
Joe, you're up.
Well, what's the best meal you've ever had?
I would say one of Mom's Valentine's things. In our family, that's kind of a tradition. I haven't had them because I haven't lived at home for so long, but she goes all out.
Does she do something different every year?
Yeah, she and Dad would do something, go out and some nice fancy steakhouse dinner or whatever, but she would do a family one where, one year it was a seafood lasagna, another year it was filet mignon, another year it was, just top lobster, whatever, top of the line, expensive, fancy, and her cooking skills. We're talking 5-star kind of thing.
Very, very good.
And so, yeah, really all of them. I can't even separate them out.
Mine is a meal at Kane Prime in Nashville, downtown Nashville. Wagyu filet. I remember everything. Corn creme brulee. They did the top of the corn like you would creme brulee. It was insane. Cream corn. Caesar salad, delicious bread, one other potato dish, and then strawberry creme brulee for dessert. Oh my word,
Man.
just the best meal that I personally ever had. So.
Mm-hmm. All right, back around. I'm the guy that's Mr. Old Guy, slow on the
You want me
track
to go?
here. No.
Number 10 for you.
Yeah. What is your hottest pop culture take?
Y'all are gonna agree. It's not a hot take. I think the female rapper genre is the worst genre of music imaginable. I think that's just terrible.
The older I get, the more I hate rap in general. But women,
Agreed, but
women
female rapping
it's
is just the worst.
very unnatural.
Yep.
Yeah, the 80s are incredibly overrated.
My man.
I figured you were gonna say that.
The 80s are just so stinking overrated. Like, everything's going back to retro, going back to the 80s. Yes, it was big. I understand it. Don't at me here because everybody's going to go, well, it was the start of techno. It was the start of rap. It was the start of, hip-hop. It was the start of so many things. Yes, I realize that. But my goodness, so many one-hit wonders, so many things that were just not good, objectively not good, and we act like it's the greatest thing ever. 80s just drive me nuts.
Generation X has had the cultural aux cord for like 40 years now.
Yes,
the cultural aux cord.
Yes, they have.
All their
Give it up.
movies are the best.
Well, every store you go into, you hear Journey, Foreigner, whatever, Bon
Yeah.
Jovi. Like, okay,
True.
let's move on.
True. All right.
Hair metal.
My number 10. What is which means we should be about a 30-minute mark, hopefully. We gotta
I'm going to have to skip this
What
one.
is the biggest strength and weakness of your co-hosts?
Fellas, this is really,
That's
really
messed
difficult.
up.
I was going to say, it's really difficult. It's really messed up.
Hey, we're getting real here.
I did not write anything down. And
Oh,
I
Mr.
thought-
Cop-Out here.
legitimately, I thought about this. The biggest strength, because the thing I admire about you, I think, is your biggest strength. Are we talking on the podcast or are we talking
Yes.
in life?
I was thinking in life,
Oh.
but it could go
See,
either
this is
way.
what I'm
Oh,
saying. We
I
probably
did
should
the
clarify.
I did
Just
podcast.
answer because we're running out of time. So it doesn't
Okay,
really
go
matter.
for it.
So I was thinking podcast. Joe, your strength and weakness are the same as your no filter. You say stuff and I'm like, that takes guts. I wouldn't have said that. And then there's other things you say where it's like, I'm gonna get
What
so
are we
many
doing?
letters about that. Like, oh, why? But it's a strength. But there are times where I'm like, man, a little bit more filter. But it's one of those you take the good with the bad. Strength is thoughtful questions. I think you do a better job than either of us of like pushing the episode forward. Well, what about this? And I just kind of move down the outline, and that gives the episode breadth. I think is really helpful. Weakness is just the well-roundedness of knowledge in that, like the premillennial dispensational.
Yeah.
We got to stop saying that. Episodes like that, you guys defer more to me, which it's not a weakness so much as it is an experience thing. So
Yeah.
I was going to say, believe it or not, that was kind of mine, specifically for you, which is knowledge-wise, but I wrote myself into it because
not
the
that you're
same thing as Jack.
unknowledgeable.
Yeah, I was
This is
gonna
the
say,
hard part of
right.
but it's the
answering
same
this
thing for
question.
me. Is I would say the same thing about me. Like my biggest weakness is I feel okay, I got a few of them, which one of them is the no filter, but is the same as you, which is I just think we lack some of the knowledge as we go. I'd say the strength, I was going to say, you concoct, like you help the outline or give it structure on so many where it's, hey, what if we did this? Boom, 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 boom. Jack, I would say the biggest weakness is sometimes I think you can cut me off while I'm rolling. The biggest strength, I would say, is exactly that. You bring a gravitas, a weight to the podcast that if we did not have you...
Just interesting thoughts that would not be there.
We wouldn't have that. And so... But yeah, from the weakness, sometimes I think you get a little skittish on some of the heavier things.
The hot takes.
On some of the
All
hot
right, roll
takes.
on.
So,
Number
yes,
11, we got to roll.
We got to roll.
All right, you're up.
Oh, that's right. That's me. Okay, sorry. Whew, got past that one. Okay, what's the best and worst movie you've ever seen?
We answered the best already, didn't we?
I think we did favorite.
Favorite. Best movie I've ever seen, either The Dark Knight, the Batman movie, or The Prestige.
I like
Both
The
of those
Prestige
are
a lot. Edited version, The Godfather
course.
2. Very
Gotta
well
watch that.
done.
I forgot I didn't answer word. Top Gun was very overrated.
Yes. Yeah.
Not the worst movie I've ever seen, but man, it was not very good.
Yeah.
Good one. Okay, Jack. You got it.
Worst movie I ever saw was Where the Wild Things Are. It was a book a lot of people read as a kid. And
yeah.
I don't remember if I walked out or fell asleep, but
Not
awful.
good.
Awful.
Good to know. Jack, number 11.
What can you not live without? One item you can't live without.
Cell phone, I guess. I use that more than just about anything else. And if, it's got my Bible on it, so got to call my wife. Yeah.
I was going to say specifically my Bible because it's got all my Bear Valley notes. On a less serious note, we talked about this in the podcast, good toilet paper.
Oh, my goodness.
Can't go without good toilet paper,
That's
man.
true. That's
so, yeah. What's yours?
Oh, yeah,
Brian?
my number 11. All right. Mount Rushmore. I got a lot of these Mount Rushmore questions. Mount Rushmore, greatest athletes ever.
Is Mount Rushmore 5 now that my head's on there?
No, it is not.
I
4.
wish.
All right, what you got?
Okay, Tiger Woods, Michael Phelps, Leo Messi, and the fourth I very much struggle with. I'm going to have to say LeBron.
Yeah, it's got to be.
I think I got to go with LeBron, even though if we're going based off of
you're-
records, Gretzky would be, but as I told you guys, like,
So you're leaving Gretzky off, Muhammad Ali
Muhammad
off,
off.
and you're leaving
I mean, you could say somebody like Jerry Rice or
Babe
Barry
Ruth.
Sanders, Babe Ruth, Ted Williams, like, yeah.
what's your Ford?
Gretzky, Phelps, Messi, and I really don't know about a fourth. There's a lot of baseball guys, but this is the problem. I tried not to put anyone on there that like there's a debate. LeBron, Jordan, there's a debate. Messi, Ruth and no, Tiger's a debate because he didn't catch.
That's
Nickel.
not a debate to me.
You guys are.
I
young.
see what you're saying.
You guys are young. I mean, the tennis guys. Djokovic is probably the best, but
Yeah, there's a debate with-
yeah, and
it's
so
over.
I really, if you're making me commit to a fourth, let's say Djokovic.
Wow, that's
wow, that is
crazy.
a hot take right
That
there.
is.
That's
He's really, yeah. I mean, that's
Tiger was so stinking dominant. Okay, what song brings a tear to your eye?
This is a good one. Is it me going first or is it you?
Yeah, I guess
Go
it
for
is.
it, Jack.
The Avett Brothers' "Murder in the City," which does not sound like a sentimental song, but it's a song about like, look, if I'm gone, my wife, my kids, my family, this is what I want you to know. So,
It's a very good one.
These Are the Days, Corey Asbury. Because I heard it for the first time like a couple months ago, and it's about the stage of life that we're in right now, which is, you're exhausted right now from parenting. You're really tired. It's going to get better. You're going to wish these days we're still here in 20 years. So that one for sure.
cool. Did you have one?
Yeah, the clock was ticking from Brandon Flowers,
Okay,
lead singer of the Killers.
I have to look it up.
Yeah, so good.
Killers,
got a couple cuss
"Murder in
words
the
in it,
City."
sorry.
Yeah. Oh well,
Filter
there you
it,
go.
that's
Virtue,
Yeah.
yes.
Let's see. If you could go back in time, what non-biblical event would you love to see?
I thought about this. It would be really utterly fascinating to be there when they were deciding the Bill of Rights. Like the Continental Congress where they were putting all that together and all the discussion, arguing. I think that'd be fascinating.
What are we going to do about TikTok, guys? What are we going to do about it? Yeah.
Yeah.
Can you put that in there to ban it right now? That would be very fascinating. I put in there, because I'd love to have the knowledge that literally nobody else has, the building of the pyramids.
Ooh,
I'd love
that's
to
a
know. I'd
good
love to know
one.
how they did it.
Nice.
Would you tell people or would you just like, haha, I know and you don't?
Oh, I'd tell people.
That's your way of getting on Joe Rogan.
I was gonna say I'd be on Rogan. I'd be on History Channel. I'd be on
everywhere.
Aliens. Yeah.
Yeah.
They'd love me, and then they'd go, "That's not how it happened." No, but really. So that's what I would do. Jack, do you have one on that?
I'd want to be on the moon in 1969, but I'm afraid nobody would show up. They're gonna come get me, right? Nobody's coming, man.
Yeah. Oh man.
I'm kidding. I don't know. Yeah, that is my answer. I'd just like to see that.
Nice.
All right, my next one. I think this was actually a listener submitted question also. So shout out to whoever asked this. What question will you ask God when you get to heaven?
I think it was Sissy as well.
All right, sissy.
One thing that I find to be interesting, this kind of weird question: why did you require blood to be redemptive? of all things, like if you knew you're setting up the plan,
Life is in the blood.
I know
Next
life
question.
I know life is in the blood. I know that's what he's. But like, why specifically did you set up?
Jack just answered the question that you have forgot.
But no, but like,
but why? Okay.
but like, you knew this plan was going to require your son, like Jesus, part of the Godhead, coming down to die. Why didn't you formulate a different plan? Like, you know what I mean? Like, why'd you do it
the way you do it?
Why'd you do it the way you did it? Where he didn't come down and, like, have to answer tough math questions or something. You know what I mean? Like,
I'll explain this to you after the podcast. We don't have to.
okay, well, I guess I don't have to
All
ask
right, Jack,
God
go for
anything.
it.
I'll just ask Jack.
Something I've been interested in lately is how true is lore. We've been talking about like the pagan gods and like where all the stories come from, and Thor and Baal and like Hercules. There's a lot of overlap, Nimrod, things like that. There's even stuff about like stuff that C.S. Lewis and Tolkien sourced, Lord of the Rings kind of stuff, that they were like digging into Norwegian lore and Germanic lore and stuff like that, and it connects to like myths that we have, like. And really, it's a question of, like, what was the world like before the flood? I mean, I think that's where a lot of this stuff comes from, or right after the flood, up to Babel, before the splitting. I just want a picture of that.
That's pretty interesting.
Nice. Yeah.
Okay.
All right, Joe, you're up.
My turn. Best memory of us together.
Jack?
I can't share the real one. So we've talked about it a little bit before. Early, was it 3 years ago or something? We started accountability meetings with a couple. Reese was one of the other guys in it. Just goals of what are you trying to get done this week? Where do you want to be in the next year? Things like that, and just following up with each other. And we had known each other, but I think that was the thing that really brought us together, was like, pushing each other. And we've talked about like looking back on, and we've got the sheets from what our goals were that first time. It was like, wow. I mean, like, we're all so far beyond that now. And it's because of having each other, I think.
I got to be honest. I think that led to the podcast, too.
Oh, absolutely.
Oh, yeah,
We're here today because of that.
Yeah. Iron sharpens iron.
I was probably recency bias, but the LA trip that we just went on together,
That was cool.
that was so much fun. So I'd have to say either that, because, I mean, just...
Shout out to Victor Valley for bringing us up. That
Yes,
was
shout
fun.
out to those guys. And then just the countless nights we've stayed up late in Florida, and even in y'all's house back when y'all still lived there. Just too many of those to name.
Playing football in your upstairs room.
Oh, yes.
Oh,
on our
classic.
knees.
I don't... How young were you?
I was probably like 11, maybe.
I was going to say 10, 11.
10, 11.
Yeah, those were so much fun. Okay.
If you could change one thing about yourself, what would it be?
I would want to be 4 inches taller. Exactly, 4 inches taller. And have a better singing voice. Those two
Yeah,
things.
good song leader.
I would love to have a more defined jawline, which is something I'm working on. We'll get there. But a more defined jawline and more discipline. I'd love to be more of a disciplined person that is... Where it doesn't cost me everything to have to get up at 5:30 to hit the gym. It would be nice.
Y'all
if
read the
that was
book, The
easier.
5 a.m. Club? I've been seeing ads for that. I need to read it.
Yeah, I've been seeing about it too, but I haven't.
All right, number 13. What is the thing... shout out my wife. This is my wife question, actually. What is the thing you were least prepared for about marriage? So I guess the thing you really did not see coming.
I really did think like a lot about this, and this is going to sound dumb. How many small things make a difference? Such as like, the tweaks to a budget, house cleaning, paying bills, like adulting, as they call it, quote unquote. But how many of those things make a difference in the course of a marriage, where it's like, if those things stack up, and early on in our marriage it was really bad, where we would kind of push it to the side and not pay that bill or not do this or not do that, and it stack up, and then it's like, oh man, the same thing as you put laundry to the side. Like, just do the small things right and things will go well. And man, we learned that the hard way. Still are to a certain extent, but learn that the hard way. So that's kind of, that was my answer.
It's just the stuff we've talked about on some of the masculinity, femininity stuff of leading. Like, they tell you, you get hammered in your head, the nice guy thing, it's a partnership, just, happy wife, happy life, all that stuff. And my wife's not like that. She's just kind of sitting there like, just tell me what to do. Tell me what we're doing on this. Like, what's the decision? I'll go with it, whatever it is. I might question it or I might give my input, but what's the decision? And, it's like, well, I don't want to run you over. She's like, say something, like that. I've talked before about the nice guy thing and how it conditions you so wrong.
Okay. What piece of advice would you give to a young man who is about to graduate high school? Will and I do the gym podcast. I have an idea of what you'd say, but Jack, I was very curious. You're not on the podcast with us. So I'm curious your thoughts. What advice
Other
would you
than subscribe to the Godly Young Men podcast.
Correct.
Of course, absolutely.
and
Start
subscribe
there.
to Folks Plus?
There you go.
Of course.
You don't have to be perfect. I think that's something I struggled with is like, I've got to choose the right career right now or else it's all going to fall apart. I've got to choose, kind of the soulmate thing. Like, you've only got one shot at the one. And it's like, No, you adapt as you go. Like you try and do your best, and then you're gonna make a mistake because you can't live a mistake-free life. You learn from the mistakes. That's what makes you stronger, is learning and growing, not making mistakes.
My answer is find a gang, like a group of guys. And when I say a gang, like a group of guys that you can really rely on. If you can have that when you're graduating high school, instead of going off to college and finding some knucklehead buddies that you just love to go, break the law with. No, like find guys that really have your back, that you get their back, you can share struggles with. The earlier you can get that in life, the better.
There you go.
Good stuff.
Favorite chain restaurant?
Cheesecake Factory. Pretty easy for me. Love that place.
Their menu like a phone book.
Every item I've ever had there been delicious.
Yeah. Texas Roadhouse.
Really?
Texas Roadhouse.
I don't think I would have guessed that.
The more I go, the more it's like these rolls are untouchable. Like nobody else can beat those rolls. I love the salad. The onion blossom's great. The steaks are actually mid. They're okay.
Yeah, they're not great.
But there are a couple. If you get the right ribeye, it's pretty solid, man. Now they lack on desserts, whereas Cheesecake Factory is like the OG, man. There's nothing better than Cheesecake.
It's amazing
Factory
how
desserts.
Texas Roadhouse's rolls and cinnamon butter basically take them from it's okay of a restaurant to
it literally is that.
Yeah, true.
But it's by far the best.
All right, what is your? I got another family one here. What is your favorite part about being a dad?
Getting to be a hero to your son,
That's
to
cool.
a little kid. Like, they want you to hold them. They want you to be there to see them. Like, Harrison's taking skating lessons recently, and he looks for me in the stands. I mean, there's like nothing better than that.
Yeah, I agree.
So yeah, just getting to be that hero. And yeah, some uncles are and whatnot, but it's different when it's yours. When you are the one that they're going to call, and you get to show up and like make their entire day. That's pretty cool.
I'd say seeing their hearts grow. Seeing them do something wrong one day, they get in trouble for it the next day. Hey, and they even kind of the same thing. They want your approval. Hey, I was really nice to my brother. I was really nice to my sister. Like, that's awesome. That's what we're, you just see that soft-heartedness growing in them, and yeah, it's really special.
Jackson's at that age where he doesn't just want to do something; he wants you to do it with him.
Yeah,
and I think that's really,
super
really
cool.
So.
All right, fellas. Number 15. Both of you have pursued bachelors in something other than the Bible. What's your favorite class from your non-biblical schooling?
I almost have no recollection of.
I struggle with this question too, Joe. It's a good question. I took a U.S. history class that was interesting. That's about all I can remember, honestly. Okay.
Most of my stuff was transferred in from Bear Valley. Most of my credits.
You took some business.
So yeah, there's business, there's macroeconomics, microeconomics, accounting, ethics. I mean, the business ethics one was kind of fun, but
microeconomics didn't make your list.
I mean, there was interesting stuff, but that was 15 years ago at this point, man. I'm old.
Man.
All right, Jack, you're number 15.
Okay.
Will was barely born.
What is your favorite sermon, class, or writing that the other guy has done? So Will for Joe, Joe for Will.
Oh, I've got one for Jack too. So I'll give mine quick.
If you want to pump my tires, go
Sure. Yeah. Joe, I think you might have stolen this from Jack. Actually, your tabernacle sermon was very good. I don't know. Did you? I don't know.
I
collaborated maybe.
Pushed. Yeah.
When you preached that sermon,
You told me where to find all the info.
it was recently when you preached on John and
was
how you go through the tabernacle, and that's how John wrote. Man, my mind was blown. I thought that was really, really good. You presented it really well. Great stuff. And then Jack, your fellowship issues article, I've pumped those tires before on this podcast, but I thought that was so masterful. Just a masterclass. Good stuff.
Will, we just got off of a great class from
That
Will
was good.
on
That
keeping
was good.
kids faithful. That was really good.
Appreciate it.
Your casual Christianity, I've heard it a couple times.
Yeah.
Always a banger. Always solid. There was one that you gave, and actually you were making me think about it tonight during class. There's one you gave about keeping kids faithful. It was really, really good, and I can't remember what it was, like the name or whatever that you called it, but you had one a while back that was good. Jack, I think your recent stuff on becoming a people, like what's going to be your book, is some of the best stuff you've ever written. And you've written some really good articles over time. I've heard some really good sermons, heard some really good classes, but honestly, I think you're very much on to something. Like Church Reset was a great book, but your ability to now kind of step through that and look at kind of the minutia of it has been fascinating. So each time an article comes out, I'm interested in it.
All right, what is your go-to road trip candy and drink?
Reese's Fast Break with a Snapple apple.
Whoa.
You had your answer ready.
Oh, I did. Well, if it was a snack, I'll do a giant Dasani water and a big thing of jumbo seeds, sunflower seeds. Kind of keeps me awake, gives me something to do. That's kind of my snack if I'm going to. But yeah, if I'm getting candy, it's probably Fast Break and Snapple.
I'm an M&M guy. Peanut butter, regular, whatever.
That's good stuff.
And then, I mean, it used to be a Coke, but now it's an Americano or a coffee.
Yeah, we don't drink soda anymore, right? Oh, one of
I
us
drink
still
enough.
does.
Yeah, I drink enough for both of you. Jack's got his Coke.
Cane sugar. And if I get a coffee, you know what I'm putting in it? Cane sugar.
It's Can you? They're Mexican Cokes,
My
right?
coffee's just got cream.
But they're called Mexican Cokes?
Yes.
That seems so racist, I got to be honest.
Well, it's the superior Coke, so
It
like,
is
it's
such
not
a
derogatory.
Yikes.
It's very good. But
Came from Mexico.
it is. It just seems... Anyway, that's, good stuff.
We're having to be hypersensitive these days.
Yes, we are. Or I'll just say it, I guess. That's my best and worst quality.
Yeah, no filter.
And no filter. Both of you... No. Next one. Will grew up with Brad. Jack has worked with him for well over a decade. What's something the average person doesn't know about Brad?
You want to go
Brad
first?
Harrub?
Yeah, I think when somebody is like well known online, and Brad has a lot of followers, everything he writes, gets people like create a persona in their mind, and that's kind of your question. But he really cares. I think that's something that gets missed is when you just see somebody as an expert on something that like, no, there's a person there. And when I was going through a tough time in my life, he was going to speak somewhere, rearranged his travel schedule to show up, spend an evening with me, take me out to dinner. Just things like that. Thanksgiving last year, we had just moved here, couldn't get back to spend it with family. He's like, well, we'll come over to our house. We'll spend it with Will and with Brad and the family. So, yeah.
Yep, that's a good one. I put he's got one of the worst sweet tooths I've ever seen.
He does.
Yes, he
Loves
does.
his
ice
sweet
cream,
cream.
ice cream,
Yes.
man.
I inherited it, unfortunately. And then the other thing I put is, believe it or not, he's actually an introvert.
Yes.
Very much so.
He does a very good job of masking the
He's so good, man.
the introversion. Like one of the better people I've ever seen at doing that. But yeah, he is an introvert. So
His ability to go on the road every week almost and converse with people as an introvert.
I did 5 weeks of that, and I'm
Jack
like,
was
I'm done.
Yeah.
I'm not 6 months. I'm staying home.
50
But
weeks later, Brad's like, I'm still going. Yeah,
the mental exhaustion.
incredible.
Yeah.
what's something you want to see Focus Press do in the next 3 years?
I want to see Focus Press be in a tall task in the next 3 years, but be the Church of Christ's go-to for Bible class material.
That'd be
It's kind of a not super objective one, or not super tangible one, but I'd like to see that.
I want to see us excel in video content.
Yeah.
Like,
The gym is the best thing we do. There's not much behind it.
yeah, we want like a lot more video. That's what engages people. So that's my big one.
Good one. Jack, what about you? I'm curious about your answer on that one.
Stuff when we've gotten at it a little bit, but for men, I'm
Yeah.
real big on the elitism, like raise up the next generation, and
good.
Yeah.
The accountability group thing. I think there's a lot of power in that. Let's get
Yeah.
that going everywhere.
I love that.
All right, top 3 sports moments in history you would want to be in attendance live for.
Okay.
Top 3.
Number 3, I'm actually going to say, this is almost blasphemous, my team. Number 3 is going to be the 2022 Avs Stanley Cup win.
Oh, recent one.
The recent one after the wilderness years.
We almost win.
Yeah, we were close because Jack and I talked about hopping on a plane to Tampa.
My twins were 2 months old. I couldn't exactly leave my wife to go watch a hockey game.
Wow. Yeah, one of the bigger... That's not the biggest regret of your life. Number 2 is the 2019 Tiger win at the Masters. I'm not even... it sounds like I'm some huge golf guy. I'm not even a huge golf guy, but I am in
Just
awe.
to see history. Like
Yes,
that
just
was
to
the
see
one.
history. I mean, incredible. And then, of course, number 1 is Miracle on Ice, like 1980. How could you not want to be in that arena? And there's only like 4,300 seats or something. Could you imagine having that ticket?
Yeah.
Unreal. So I would love to go at.
Miracle on Ice, Homer-ish. I could say all of the Denver championships. So Super Bowl 32, John Elway's first one. I put one on there that it was a random Avalanche game in March of 1999, and Peter Forsberg, one of mine, Joe's favorite players, they were losing 5-0, and the guy just went, "We're not losing tonight," and just scored and scored and scored and scored, and they won 7-5.
Wow.
I mean, it was just, I've never seen an athlete in any sport do that. I would love to be there for that.
Yeah.
So,
What he ended up with 3 goals, 4 assists?
3 goals, 3 assists,
Yeah.
and won 7-5.
6 points on
in 20 minutes. I mean, like, I can't
not
explain
human.
how hard it was to do, but yeah. All right, Joe.
Number 17, Joe.
Oh, yeah, that's me. Sorry, I thought you were asking. Okay. Number 17. What podcast do you guys enjoy? This is from Joanna. Shout out to
Listener
Joanna.
question.
My Denver sports stuff. I really like, and I've shouted out before, Conversations with Dan, with Dr. Dan Owen. Paducah Broadway Church of Christ was one of our instructors at Bear Valley. I don't always agree with him. He's a lot smarter than me, and so that might be my problem, but very good deep dives on scriptural stuff. I like modern wisdom for self-improvement and stuff like
That's
that.
still mine.
I'm super lame. I don't get a ton of time to listen to podcasts, so my answer's not going to be great. When I do, it's usually at the gym, and I want something that's kind of entertaining. So I listen to sports podcasts. That's pretty much all I do, and not much of that. So
Nick Wright guy.
yeah, big Nick Wright fan. How about you, Joe? What's your answer?
I was going to say modern wisdom. I've very much gotten into. If it's the right, Rogan clips, I would say, from interesting people, but Chris Williamson and then Andrew Huberman's podcast, the Huberman Lab, I think is what it's called. He's got some very interesting stuff, scientific-wise. Great podcast called the Get Out of the Porn podcast.
Oh,
yeah.
I mean, the guy's super smart.
I heard
so-
it's by a guy who doesn't have a PhD though. So.
He will in the next 10 years, hopefully.
That's
So
right.
that's the goal.
Nice.
That's right. Okay. this is one of those put you on the spot, make you talk about yourself. What do you want to be known for? And I mean, obviously, I want to be known for being a Christian. That stuff. Take that for granted. Yeah. But like if there's a book, if there's a work that you did, if there's something, whatever you guys.
You definitely should have put that in parentheses because I put raising a faithful family. Which sounds
yeah,
like you disqualified
the easy thing. Yeah.
No raising. Other than that, just somebody who was. I mean, I don't think this is something we talk about in the gym, but I don't think it's wrong to say I want to be successful in business.
Sure.
Like I want, to be, and maybe not to be known for that, but that's something that, he did really well in business. He worked hard.
I put down, I want to help the church reclaim God's design for sexuality. Like I want to be the guy that jump starts the discussion in the church to get the church being the ones that are driving the culture around sexuality and not culture, which is a tall task. But I do think that there's a lot to the family, to masculinity and femininity and all of that that's tied into it. And so I would like us at Focus Press to be those that are kind of, and we are the ones pushing the train. I think we are the most patriarchal, or how should I say it? Like
patriarchy-centered.
Yeah, the patriarchy-centered podcasts in the church. And I want to continue to be that and kind of push that train. So,
all right. What is the best sermon you've ever preached, in your opinion?
This is a tough one. I preach so many good ones. No, no, there's a couple that stand out to me. Number one is my feminism, one that I preached a few months ago, I think. Yeah. Biggest threats facing the church. I preached on feminism, and I did not pull my punches in that one.
A baseball bat
yes,
to
I
it,
did
man.
not pull my punches. If there was any feminists in the audience, they would not come back. I tell you that. And that sounds terrible. Aren't you supposed to win the heart over?
It was really good.
Shout out to our congregation. They
took it very well, and got a lot of good feedback on it. I also did one at a gospel meeting one time on Ezekiel 36 and how basically God's redemptive path of redemption really isn't about you. It's about his own glory, and we can make it. Yes, he loves us, obviously, but like it's basically, I chose Israel for my purposes, not for yours. Yeah. It's not because you're great. And so I thought it was pretty good, and I think it helped.
I did one on Jesus getting baptized in Mark 1 when I preached through the Gospel of Mark. It wasn't anything like, not a great presentation. It's not like an outline, but the text itself hit me so hard between the eyes of, this is my beloved son, and he came to, adopt us, make us his own, that he can look at us and say, you're my beloved, I'm proud, I'm with whom I'm well pleased, and that in Christ we can be well pleasing to him, and you've the father thing we talked about earlier, that God views you that way is just staggering. I mean, it's really hard to get my head around, and so I don't know if it was all that memorable for anybody in the audience, but it's one that I still just, I have a hard time even comprehending it.
Yeah, nice, good stuff. All right. Best sporting event you've ever attended?
You were there for it, and this is the hilarious part, is you were in the bathroom and the line for concessions for the first 3 quarters. It was a high school football game when I was in East Texas.
I was in the bathroom for like 2 minutes. Don't throw that in like I was in the bathroom
for
like
you were in the concession line for like 2 hours. Yeah, I missed the whole game. It was everybody in my church went to one of 2 high schools, 2 rival high schools in this tiny East Texas area. They met in the state playoffs. And the attendance at the game was more than the population of the 2 towns.
Wow.
I mean, like, everybody was there. It shut the whole town down. It was incredible. And the winning team, they traded touchdowns in the last 2 minutes, like, back and forth. Unbelievable. There was, 3 or 4 of those guys played in the NFL from this high school game. It was unbelievable.
That's really cool.
Yeah.
And Joe missed it.
Yeah.
And I
think you were there for, the last
Everybody
5
wanted
minutes,
their drinks, and I kept thinking, surely this will get better. Surely this will get better. Like, I'm this far in. Nope, it never got better.
It's so good.
It never got better.
Mine, I realized I haven't been to a lot of sporting events because it is a very short list. I got to watch Peyton Manning when he was on the Colts, actually, playing against the Titans, and I was probably 10 or 11 first football game. So yeah, that's probably it.
Very cool. Did you have one?
No.
All right.
No.
What one practice? Be careful here. Would you borrow from a denomination and implement?
Was this one that we came up with, or somebody else?
I think
this
is
Jack's.
Yeah.
Playing with fire here, buddy.
Yeah.
I would say, this sounds, I don't like the way I put this down here. Being more physical, such as laying hands on people while we pray with them.
Okay.
Something like that where, the touchy-feely, like we're so much
stoic.
We don't do that. We're very stoic.
Firm handshake and move on.
Yeah. The power, when I got to work at that addiction recovery place, the power of 9 other guys or 10 other guys putting their hand on somebody while we're, praying for them and helping them, and like to see a 45-year-old man burst into tears. The power of the moment was so much, it was so crazy. Yeah. I've never really been in part of something like that. I think we could do a much better job of that.
I had sort of similar more spirit-filled worship. Obviously, no instruments or anything like that. Nothing anti-biblical. But I think we don't do a good job in the Church of Christ of including the spirit part and the spirit and truth part. I think our singing is stale a lot of times, and people are just going through the motions with worship. So again, the denominations get it wrong in a lot of ways, but I think as far as kind of being more spirit-filled, I think they do a little bit better job. So,
Do you have one on there?
Yeah, corporate confession and absolution, saying we have sinned, pray for forgiveness, and then let everybody know your sins are forgiven. I mean, I think that's powerful.
All right, Faye, we used to go to Florida together every single year for like a decade or so. Favorite Florida trip memory?
That first year in the room where it was, I don't know if you guys remember, but the 4 beds.
Yeah, we had
They were
bunk
like bunk beds, but they were kind of against the wall, and so there's 4 of them, and all 4 of us in this room stayed in there, and we just stayed up talking late.
And
like
I was
chilling,
11,
and you were like 11, and Reese, what, you were 9 or?
Reese was like 8 or 9.
8. And it was a ton of fun.
Yeah. Ton of fun. The first year we had the football game when our brother-in-law Jack Dodgen was with us. And Joe and I won. It was Jack and Will against Joe and I.
I do think that was the only year they won, actually. Now
the fourth down diving catch, walk-off touchdown, won it. And yeah, that was probably the last time we ever won because Will got faster than all of us and nobody could catch him again. So that was the end of that. But the first one was fun.
Yeah, good stuff.
You're 19.
Okay, getting down to it. You guys are a decade apart. What's the biggest difference in your growing up experiences as it pertains to culture?
It's a tough one.
Yeah, I think things change so much with wokeism that like the whole world, everything you turn on, the internet every day, like you're just the mental annoyance of you can't watch a TV show, you can't watch a movie, you can't listen to anything, you can't get online. It was so much easier when I was young.
It's sort of similar to mine. I was going to say, and I don't know if it'd be cool or if I'm glad mine shaped out this way of like I was born into just constant technology, kind of constant, social media, and at least from what I can remember, Jack, you got to kind of watch the evolution of it and see Facebook start and MySpace and all that, and
when the light bulb was invented.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
But
That's why I picked white socks. I couldn't see in the dark.
But yeah, like I mean, I've kind of always been around technology nonstop, whereas you, I think, got to watch a little bit more of it. So. That'd be what
I do think the 90s was the pinnacle. Sorry, Will, you missed out. I think it was the pinnacle of existence for kids.
Yeah.
Just the best. But
all right.
You sound like one of those nostalgic 80s people because that's exactly what they say about the 80s.
I was a nostalgic 90s person, and clearly that's not overrated. No, there's a lot about the 90s.
We didn't have any garbage like Top Gun, yeah.
Yeah, exactly.
What's your wife's best dish?
My wife's got a lot. I mean, just so many that it'd be tough to choose. No, she makes really good Italian rigatoni. Like, just knock my socks off every single time.
My wife's chicken parm is unbelievable. She
still hasn't made it for us.
She home makes the sauce, the red sauce, nothing out of a can. The panko and parmesan crust, and
especially when we do that. I think it was her Alfredo.
When we do homemade noodles. Well, her Alfredo, literally my wife, she don't miss. Like, I'm telling you, there's been like 3 or 4 misses, and I will let her know when that happens. It is not very often. But her chicken parm is next level, like restaurant quality. So
nice. All right. Give me your top 3 quarterbacks of all time.
Of course, John Elway, number 1, baby.
I mean,
that can't be number 1.
Number 2, Peyton Manning.
Really?
I think Peyton Manning is number 2. Yeah, and yes, I'm a homer. I'm a
huge
Broncos
Peyton
fan. Go figure. Don't sue me. But yes, I think Manning just understood the game of football better than probably anybody that's ever played the game. And then number 3 is difficult. I could put Marino on there from skill base. Montana's probably got to be on there. Brady doesn't come close for those people out there that think that Tom Brady needs to be on number 3. I think Will does, actually.
You'd come around, man. I don't like the guy, but 7 rings is 7 rings.
7 rings in a system that was perfectly built for him that I literally could have. You could have put in like Brady Quinn.
If I did hottest sports take, it would have been he's the luckiest athlete of all time.
That part is true. I agree with that. But
yeah, he walked into 7 rings.
He's in the top 3, man. Who was your third?
Montana.
Okay. Montana. Elway, Manning. I've never seen anybody play football as good as Mahomes. He's already up there.
Thank you.
You think so?
Oh yeah.
That's very true.
He's just better than
he's playing a different game.
He's reinventing the quarterback.
And as a Broncos fan, that hurts me too much.
Hey, you got Russell Wilson.
Right. That's another cool thing I can put on my list of favorite sporting events. I got to see him in high school, so that
is really cool.
That's true.
Cool. And he was ridiculously good.
He dropped 7 in that game that we watched in White House. Yeah.
You weren't in the concession stand the whole time that time.
I was not actually, but I don't hardly remember the game, which is I don't think I knew what I was watching. Okay,
that's just football's overrated. Sorry, go ahead.
Right, it very much is. What one thing from the past do you wish would be brought back? For you nostalgic people.
Sharper dress. I think going everywhere, seeing people in pajamas and sweatpants and all that.
That's a good answer.
That's a really good answer.
I put like classy social gatherings. You don't really see that much anymore. Like now it's just when you hear party, you think, oh, like a, college party or something. No, but like they had balls and stuff, and not that I'm into dancing or anything, but just they had classy get-togethers and social gatherings and stuff.
What is your greatest athletic accomplishment?
I think it's me first, right?
Yes, it is.
This
Sorry.
is gonna be,
Sorry.
so I'm a huge sports guy. I love sports. I didn't get to play a lot of sports. Homeschooled, traveled a lot, so mine's not gonna be near as good as Joe. I know what Joe's is really good. Believe it or not, in Decatur we had flag football, and the first year that we play, with our young people and like one or two adults, we lost every single game. We were a really bad team. The next year we came back and I stepped in at quarterback and we went 3-1. I dropped some dimes, absolute dimes, and
Nice.
played really well. Again, it's a flag football, so nothing great, but it was really cool. It was fun. I didn't get to play football growing up, so that was fun.
That's cool.
Joe?
Mine was when I played JV high school. I was in a 3-way scoring race with 2 other guys on my team, and we weren't even close to the best in high school, our team. But we just stacked our team with 3 guys, then 5 people that could barely skate.
Yeah.
Sounds really mean. And I won the scoring title with 50 goals and I think 12 games.
Woo. That's awesome.
50 points.
Was it 50 points?
Yeah.
It was a lot. Was it 30? It was in the 30s.
That'd be
for
like 4
I
goals a
think.
game, right?
I was the coach. That was a fun team to coach. Joe,
50 points?
Chris, go score goals. Everybody else just watch.
Anyway, no.
Yeah, no, it was
Goals are all that matter, so that's probably why I remember it.
Yeah,
No, just kidding.
he put up a lot of points. It was
All
fun.
right. This is a very vulnerable personal one. What do you struggle with most in your Christian walk?
This is a tough one. I would say consistency. Like consistently finding, because there are some Sundays where you show up just pumped, right? You're just ready. And then there are Sundays you show up and you're not. And then there's some weeks where you are consistent on, man, you're waking up, your prayer life's good, your Bible study's good. And then there's, 2-3 days or weeks sometimes in the plural that go by where you're just struggling to get it done. I would say consistency is my biggest struggle with, like, consistently feeling up and spiritual and things like that.
Working in ministry, I've always struggled with separating the work from the personal. I mean, like, you get something out of preparing sermons and classes, but it's not the same as your devotional time with God. And it's easy to just kind of think, well, I had time with God today. I spent an hour, exegeting Mark or whatever. And it's like, that's not really the same thing. And so having this over here where it's just my time with God for prayer and study, and then this over here that's for public consumption kind of thing, And I know some guys do both. Like, what their personal study is what they preach. That just never clicked for me.
Mine would be making sure you contribute the hours to time with God. Just
Yeah.
with how little amount of time I feel like we have in our days and weeks.
Yeah.
21, Joe.
21. What has been your proudest moment in life?
I don't know. It's little day-to-day stuff with the kids, just, again, seeing them grow or just getting a hug from your kids. The reception I got to church reset was really nice, but that's a glory to God kind of thing. That's, you don't want to get too full of yourself, because I even looking back on that, there's like, well, there's stuff in there I think I would change, but, still, I'm proud it's helped some people, I guess.
Yeah, like 4,000 copies sold.
It's pretty nice.
Pretty good.
For me, when I was, I think 17, I spoke at Lads Leaders in front of 5,000 plus people, and that was one I was like, man, that was really cool. And then other than that, as far as the dad front goes, like Jack said, there's a lot of things I could name, but when Jackson learned how to fold his hands to pray without us ever teaching him,
Yeah.
never taught him. We looked over one day and he had his hands folded. I was like, that's just really cool.
Yeah.
Really cool.
What travel? Me? Yeah, my turn.
you.
What travel destination would you love to go to that you haven't already been?
I'd love to go to Italy. Have not been basically anywhere in mid-Europe, but Italy would be my choice.
I had Rome on mine too.
Yeah.
Nice.
Joe's been to Rome.
I have indeed. Tokyo.
I thought you'd been to Tokyo.
I have not been to Tokyo. We went to
Beijing.
Beijing and Hong Kong, but have not been to Tokyo.
Gotcha. All right, 21. What is your favorite part about recording Think Deeper over the last 2 years, and least favorite part about recording Think Deeper over the last 2 years?
Favorite part would be getting to spend time with you guys every day. Or every day. It feels like every day sometimes. We are, we text every single day, but like getting to, like, that. This is why I think getting to 100 is such a big deal. I really did not think we would get to 100 because of this.
It's why
because
it's
of
a big deal,
schedules
and it's
everything.
also why it wasn't that hard either. It's because
Right.
Yeah,
we
it's
look
fun.
forward
You
to
want
it.
It's
Yeah.
just so
Yeah.
much fun. Yeah, so looking forward to this every single week and getting to it. And when we did the, obviously we do the deep end, that's been a ton of fun as well. So that would be my favorite part. The least favorite part, I'm going to be honest, is getting trashed on social media. Like,
That's not fun.
Getting letters sent out and things like that is not a ton of fun, and it just kind of creates like, it causes you to lose faith in people for a second, to be straight up honest with you. And so that is not always fun, but that's okay. There's, that you get through it, and luckily I got two guys on either side of me right now that very much we came together in those moments, and so that's been good.
Yeah, I like the same as you, the time together, but it's the before and after we turn on the mics.
Yeah, that's true.
Sometimes Joe will get a text from his wife. You guys done? No, we haven't started recording.
Because we've been talking for 45 minutes.
Right. So that's the best part. I've been writing online for almost 15 years. I've been working with Brad for almost 15 years. Like, I'm used to controversy. I'm used to mad people. I'm used to all caps messages. Like, that doesn't faze me anymore. I was really bummed that stuff crossed over to hurt family members, wives, things like that. Didn't affect my family as much, but just some folks involved. That was unfortunate.
Yeah.
Yep, that was my answer too. Joe, 22.
No doubt. Yep, sorry. You keep having to remind me.
You're all good.
What's one change you'd make to the podcast?
I'm sorry, you're supposed to go first.
We've talked about this before. Once we're fully financially self-supported, less restraint. We can just talk about a subject rather than texting Brad, hey, what happens if we have an episode on X, Y, or Z? We'll get there someday.
Yeah, that's a good one. I don't see how this is feasible. I want some way that some outlet that we can react to live events a little bit more than we do.
Yeah.
Just because it's one of those things, like news events are just constant content. You always are going to have something to talk about. Whereas, with Think Deeper, which I feel like we've done a really good job, 100 episodes in. I mean, we've talked about a lot of stuff, but
we tried with Think Fast, but it was very hard to do.
I wish there was a way to
really.
incorporate it in.
Yeah.
I was curious, what do you have to add to that, Joe?
Make to the podcast. I would like to do more, again, video stuff.
Yeah,
just video content wise. I just think there's between Instagram Reels, Facebook Reels, TikTok, that's very much where engagement happens. So
Right. If you could only have one book that's not the Bible, what would it be?
Convicted by Dr. Brad Harrub,
My man.
sure.
On sale now,
Church Reset.
focuspress.org.
I gotta be honest, this is like the only one I do not have an answer for, because it's like,
It's pretty hard.
yeah,
That was a
really
listener
tough.
question.
okay,
Good question, but
this is going to sound so cheesy.
Oh, boy.
7 Principles for Making Marriage Work by John Gottman, Dr. John Gottman. I think Julie, his wife, helped. I recommend it to like every one of my clients almost who's going through marital struggles and such. If there's one book that you read for your marriage, I would say read that one. It's so practical. It's so helpful. So for just relationships, but specifically for your marriage, very, very helpful.
good stuff.
All right.
Good stuff. All right, number 22 for me. When you want to study the Bible with someone to convert them, where do you guys personally start? Like, where's the starting place for you?
I think you have to understand their understanding of Jesus. Like, who is Jesus in their mind? Is he just a good guy? Did he exist? Do they think that he's just, a good teacher? Like, what's their conception of Jesus? And I feel like if you can help lead them that way, but that would be how I'd start.
I had a preacher friend in East Texas who had a study through Mark, and I loved it because it just did exactly that. I mean, Mark starts off with the claim, hey, this is the Son of God, and I'm going to prove it to you. And then he goes about the book proving it, of like, he really is. And then you end up at the cross and the soldier looking up, hey, that was the Son of God, And so his study is one I've used before, handed out, stuff like that. Just to ask questions. All right, what is this teaching you about Jesus? If Jesus did this, what does that mean? And so Mark, I think, is the answer.
Yep. Number 23. What is your favorite pastime with your family?
Playing in the backyard, just especially before daylight savings, we'd go out after dinner, just run around, play tag, kick a soccer ball around, whatever. Sunday afternoons, now we don't have Sunday evening service. We kind of do the long morning thing, just going. We usually take a couple hours outside. It's a lot of fun.
That's awesome. Cool. With my wife and kids, it's playing ball with Jackson right now. Anytime there's a ball, he wants to play. So I like doing that. If I'm bringing in my extended family, like siblings and stuff, love playing cards. That's like our go-to. It's just turn the football game on, play some cards. So
Nice.
How about you? Curious.
Cozy time, as Harrison's called it.
With his fireplace.
My 5-year-old got a fireplace for his birthday, an electric fireplace. He loves getting cozy at night, and we just sit around and talk about the day. Kind of decompress, put on one of those YouTube jazz videos where it's kind of lo-fi or whatever. And just sit and decompress, talk about the day. He always says, so, what are we going to talk about?
What is he, 5?
He's
That's
5,
crazy.
and we just love talking about things. So
Smart
yeah.
kid.
All right. Top 3 all-time desserts. This was not my question, so you get as specific or unspecific as you want.
So, I think we both went kind of more generic, like just what's your 3 favorite desserts. So, this is in order. Number 1. Actually, I'll start with number 3. Banana pudding. I love banana pudding. My mom specifically, if she's listening, her banana
when
pudding
done
is
well, it's very good.
out of this world. Number 2, just a warm, out of the oven chocolate chip cookie.
Of course.
Is very tough to beat. Just homemade, of course. And then number 1, chocolate peanut butter milkshake is my all-time favorite dessert, as far as generically speaking goes.
Anything peanut butter. Except, interestingly, yeah, okay, that's not true. So number 3, I'm gonna say is fried ice cream. If it's good fried ice cream.
I've only had that once, I think. I need to try
Are you
some
serious?
more, yeah.
Oh man, there's a place in Denver that does it better than anybody. Anytime we go back, we get it. Number 2 is something of my own invention, and I don't know how I don't have diabetes yet. It is brownie batter ice cream.
Oh man!
And then you melt Jif peanut butter.
Why have you not made this for us yet? Oh my word!
So you take ice cream and then you make brownie batter, egg and all. Yes, I'm probably gonna get salmonella one of these days. Egg and all, and you just pour the batter over the ice cream, and then you melt Jif and you pour that over.
Oh my
and
goodness!
You added the peanut butter twist after I moved out because you used to do that when I was there.
It's unbelievable. It is unbelievable. So that's number 2, and number 1, just the OG. It was your number 2, but chocolate chip cookies with a glass of milk, like ice cold milk. It is so
fresh out of the
tough to
oven.
beat. If it's a good recipe, there's nothing better than that. So
Yeah.
do you have any add-ons that you'd give?
I'm the cookie guy.
Yeah, that's true. Jack makes a lot of really good cookies.
All right, my number 23. I think this was a listener submitted question. Top of your bucket list.
Get on Joe Rogan's podcast.
Oh my goodness!
I really do think it'd be a ton of fun to just shoot the breeze with high thinking people. I thought on this one for a long time. I do that every week, by the way, fellas.
Right, yeah.
Shoot the breeze with high
Appreciate
thinking
that,
people
Joe.
for sure.
Right.
Shout out to my
Back
co-host.
compliment.
But no, I would say there we go. I had to fix the computer. Man, I thought about the bucket list. I've gotten to travel. I've gotten to do a lot of good stuff. Gotten to eat a lot of good food. Like I've lived a very blessed life, and so at this point, I would like to see Machu Picchu and climb from the 5-mile hike or whatever that it is. I think it's a lot longer depending on the hike you take. But I think that would be really cool. Or like climbing Everest would be really cool. But I'm never gonna do it.
Yeah,
you know.
no.
So.
Build on our land. We got a little bit of acreage. The house is fine. We raise our family in it, but it's like a 50-plus-year-old house, and it shows it some ways. And so just getting to build on it, something of our own design would be pretty cool.
There you go.
Nice.
If you could preach one message to the entire church, what would it be?
I have a specific. I'm sorry, I'm cutting off Jack again. Jack, you're supposed to go first.
No, go ahead. I gotta find it.
I've got a specific and a generic answer. The generic answer: step up your parenting. Step up your parenting, and the specific answer to go with that is pull your kids out of public school. That is that is a Think Deeper classic as far as a take of ours. But if I could preach one message to the entire church, again, generically, we got to step up our parenting, and a very practical, more specific outlet of that is we got to get our kids out of public school.
Yeah.
So
they say every time you're writing a book that like everything in the world becomes about what that book talks about, and it's true. I've been down this road before. So it's the Christian elitism thing, like we need leaders, shepherds, people taking responsibility for what's going to come next in the church, rethinking eldering, stuff like that. So
good stuff.
All right, is my question
I think
again?
we're at 80 minutes, by the way, fellas, so we are a little behind. This is
Are we?
question 71, if I'm doing the math right.
Yeah, we're getting there. All right. Okay, let's see.
What is the first thing you
24.
would tell 16-year-olds?
Yeah, what's the first thing you would tell 16-year-old you? We had the question earlier about what you tell a young man, but specifically yourselves, knowing what you've been through since you were 16.
I would say take the time to develop good habits in every single area of life. Like with money, develop good habits. With working out, exercise, develop good habits. With Bible study, develop good habits. I mean, fill in the blank, because I'd say I developed a lot of really good habits at 19 or 20.
Mm-hmm.
If I developed those at 16, can imagine where I would be now.
Sure.
And so that would definitely be something I tell 16-year-old me is develop those habits, stick with it, and yeah. How about you?
I would tell him I know about your raging porn addiction. Still love you. Still care about you. Go talk to somebody. You need to tell somebody to get out of this, and it's going to be okay. Your reputation can take the hit, but that's what it's going to take to get out of it, is to come clean. If I had known that at 16, that took me a couple of years later before I was actually willing to do it, I think that would be huge and would have set me on a much better path a lot quicker.
Sure.
All right. What is y'all's favorite class you took at Bear Valley?
Romans with Dr. Danny Petrillo, or there's probably the top 3. Romans, Hebrews with Dan Owen, Dr. Dan Owen, which Jack already referenced his podcast. And the most helpful one was exegesis. I don't know if it was my favorite in terms of content, but the most helpful by far was exegesis with Dr. Petrillo. But Romans was a ton of fun.
Nice.
Yeah. Exegesis came to mind first, but I felt like Dr. Dan's Gospel of John class, showed you how to do it really well. I really enjoyed that class.
Same with his Hebrews. You came out of there.
I mean, I had the legendary Warren Wilcox for Hebrews, which was great, but Dan, I'm sure, did a really good job with that too.
Yeah, you just come out knowing the book. Less notes on your computer, more in your Bible, which is always helpful. 25. You're both big coffee drinkers. What's the best way to drink your coffee? Drip, Americano, espresso, etc.
I like the little ones called a cortado, but it's like 4 ounces. And so, I don't order it very often because, you're going to pay that money to, have a shot of coffee,
For the coffee literate, what is a cortado?
Well, you would know better than I would.
Isn't it 4 shots? Is it 4 shots?
My
dad orders it a lot.
Yeah, you can get it with more shots, but it's like a 1-to-1 coffee and milk.
That's right.
And
yeah,
so
that's
it's thicker, than a latte.
But it's espresso and milk.
So 4 shots of espresso and...
Well, you can get it with 2 shots of espresso and then a few
But it's just, 1/2 milk,
Gotcha.
1/2 espresso.
Yeah, and so it's a very small thing, but it's more coffee-y than a latte.
Yeah. I like espresso drinks the best because when I like to enjoy my coffee, I don't just... Like I'm with Jack, just the 2 sips isn't great. So some kind of espresso drink, I would say, is my preferred way. Although I like them all. I like drip. I like all of it. So
Did you have a particular?
I love a good breve. I'm more of a half and half guy.
Yeah, that's strong stuff.
It is, and it's fattening stuff.
All right, what's the best part of your day?
coming home and seeing my little boy for the first time all day.
Don't take my
Sorry.
It's kind of the
It's
easy
pretty
one,
easy.
but
Yeah, I mean, I get up pretty early most days, and sometimes don't get home till late, and so just the excitement in his eyes is just the coolest thing. Because I'm, of course, really excited also.
I had that one, but I also had getting up early. My wife and I, now that I'm hitting the gym early with Jack, this is tougher to do since the kids are up by the time I get home. But when we're up at 6 a.m. and we go watch the sunrise together, we read our Bibles together, we drink some coffee together, and that is the best part. And sometimes we can do it on the weekends now. Yeah, or coming home and just, Daddy, they run into your arms. There's nothing better than that.
All right, favorite and least favorite hymn. We did something similar to this on our holiday episode, but it's been a year, so let's refresh our deep thinker's memory here.
Yes, my favorite hymn, it is Well With My Soul. I just love that one. Hallelujah, What a Savior is a...
That's a good one.
Probably
the lyrics of that one are great.
Yes, I would say that one's like very, very close second. My least favorite currently right now is Happy Day. Oh, Happy Day.
Yeah.
I just can't stand that song.
Really? I don't think you said that on the holiday episode.
I didn't say it on the holiday
episode. You've said it before that you
but
hate
I have
it,
said,
though.
oh,
I agree. Yeah,
there's no...
it doesn't match.
It doesn't match at all.
I think it's the way we sing it.
But even if we sang it, I still don't even... I don't know. I don't like it that much.
Yeah, I had that for least favorite. Favorite is His Grace Reaches Me.
Nice.
That's good. Will, you got one in there?
I wasn't prepared. Least favorite, I don't like Amazing Grace. I don't know if it's my least favorite, but I'm not a fan of
Wow.
That is a hot take.
The slowness and amazing. It's just no.
Yeah, but there's
that
a
is a
beauty
song
to
that
the
you can
slowness.
the song leader can sing it as slowly as they want,
And they often do.
They usually,
They
that's
often do.
pretty rough.
Yeah.
All right, favorite piece of Christian media. Shout out Riley for the question.
Yeah, well, we have a question coming up on Christian music. I just don't listen to it. Christian movies, I don't know. I mean, I like the Narnia stuff, so we'll go with that.
Courageous was really good.
Okay.
As far as Christian media, Christian movies, I was thinking Courageous by what is that group called? Kendrick Brothers.
Yeah.
They did a really good job with that movie.
Yep.
Joe, do you have a thought on that one?
There's an app that we follow that's got some really, really good content on it, but it's a denominational thing. But I like some of their stuff. Canon Plus, they have some good stuff. But yeah, nothing that really comes to mind. Some things we always say, some things you obviously disagree with, but a lot of good stuff out there, I'd say. But yeah, we'll get to the Christian music one.
What have you learned from 2 years of the podcast?
I would say I've learned, kind of tied back to a previous question, that open and honest discussion about biblical and cultural topics is both incredibly needed, like more than ever, but also incredibly uncomfortable for people. Like, I always kind of knew that, but like, again, doing the podcast, addressing topics that just we kind of have our standard staple answers on in the Church of Christ that don't ever really get hit, and we hit on them, and it's, like people need it. We get a lot of good feedback. Hey, really appreciate you guys talking about this. And then we also get the, why are you guys talking about it type of questions. And so it's needed and uncomfortable at the same time for a lot of people. So.
Yeah. I was going to say very similar to that, which is one of the biggest things I've learned is like there are a lot of people that do think deeper, that really want to know. They are okay with getting outside the box. They're okay with thinking about it. And so I very much learned that. And I would say, to kind of come back to the other thing, I have learned how to take criticism. I feel like a little bit more of, you try to roll with the punches a little more than what I did. So those would be the two things I've learned.
All right. If you could change one thing about how the church operates right now, what would you change?
Yeah, the obviously leadership structure we've talked about. But what I would say, actually, one big change, I would change pew configuration. Because the moment you walk in, it's like, this is different. And from then on out, I feel like everything would flow. If it looked different, people would have a mindset of, we are here to do things for one reason, which is to glorify God to the best of our ability. So I would change pew configuration instead of just as you talked about,
movie theater setup.
Movie theater setup, hey, we're all just here the consumer setup, as Jack might say. So that's what I would change.
Closed communion.
You've
That's a hot
you
one.
brought
That's
that up
good.
before. Yep.
Yep.
That's very good.
I think a lot would flow from it.
27.
Yep. What's one thing always worth splurging on? You're going to spend good money. What's one
Jack
thing?
says nothing.
No, this is something we did in L.A. The decent meal in a place you're not going to go back to. That's one of those things that, so there's a sandwich place in New York City that makes the best of sandwiches in America every time you ever see one of those lists. I walked into the place and it was like, $20 for a sandwich? Now that's ridiculous. And I left and I ate airport food.
Yikes,
I kick myself every time I see it on a list. Just do it. And so we went to like that and we got the crazy burger in LA. It was an expensive burger. I'm not going to be there again, So that one.
I had good food on mine, but good food with travel.
Sure.
Again, I think I brought this up before, but when I'm going on a trip, me and my wife went to Atlanta last weekend. I was not paying attention to how much money we were spending. So travel and good food. So
Good stuff.
All right.
Christian music time.
Yeah, what are your thoughts on Christian music?
Personally, I don't. This is a spicy one for this episode. I don't have a problem with it. I don't listen to it a lot because, quite frankly, it's usually not that great.
I just don't think it's good.
Yeah. There's a lot of funny tweets and memes about it. I do think there's value in you are placing your mind on something a little bit better than what the radio's playing. I've always agreed with that take. Of course, the instruments thing gets a lot of people of, are you worshiping or are you not? I don't know. To me, when I'm listening to it, I'm not worshiping. I'm trying to center my mind on God, think about God, and it's more of just not entertainment purposes, but I'm just trying to think on better things, I guess. And so that's why I personally don't have a problem with it. Still don't do it, hardly ever. But I certainly don't make it a fellowship issue either, like some do. But good question, Joe. What are your thoughts? I'm curious.
I have a problem more with the Hillsong than I do with like DC Talk or something, or like Kanye West's album, Jesus is Lord. I thought it was actually really, really good, and there was worship music to it, I suppose. But like the Hillsong stuff, where it's very clearly this is what they're singing in the denominational churches.
There's a difference in a worship song versus a song about God.
Yes, exactly. And so for the song about God, if that's the Christian music, I would rather be listening to that than a rap artist talk about hoes or whatever, like horrible thing. You know what I mean?
You mean chicks?
Chicks, of course, yeah. But you know what I mean? Like,
I get
it's.
that, yeah.
But I'm not a big fan of Christian music just in terms of its quality. But I don't have. I think it's a conscience issue personally. I think if your conscience is very bothered by it, obviously don't listen. But I don't think you can bind that on somebody else.
I'm curious of your thought, real quick. The meme that I was trying to remember. It's like, this is a joke about Christian music. This is a joke about Christian music.
Right.
Key change. This is a joke about Christian music. Go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, just not interested. So
yeah.
All right. Shortest answer Jack's given.
I was gonna
all right.
say, yeah.
Number 27. We are at 90 minutes. 27 times 3 is 84.
we're close.
We got it. We
It's
got
not
it.
84. It's
We're close.
81. Yikes. All right. What is your absolute favorite thing to eat? We had a best meal ever question. This is not this. This is just, what is your favorite thing to eat?
Cheeseburgers. A solid cheeseburger is very, very tough to beat.
Cheeseburger and fries was my answer.
Yeah.
Nashville hot chicken, fries, and ranch.
Yeah.
Nice.
A few places do it well, though. Well
Hattie
enough for you,
B's
at
is
least.
falling off, man. I make a
Sad
better
day.
one than them.
Yours is, Alyssa and I were talking about that today, is very, very good. Jack makes it killer hot chicken. Okay. You both are gym junkies. What's your favorite and least favorite workout?
I like a deadlift. Makes my back feel a lot better if I do it right. Running, can't stand it in any form.
Oh, that's a great one. My favorite squats. I love doing squats. Makes my legs feel really good. Least favorite. I should have put running. I didn't think about that one, but basically any ab workout ever.
Yeah.
those are tough. I'm not a fan of those.
Nice.
All right. What is an attribute of a biblical person you would take if you could? Abraham's faith, Peter's boldness, etc.
I put two things from one guy. Paul's head knowledge. I would kill for, but also his endurance.
Yeah.
Like when you read the stuff he went through, what is it, 2 Corinthians 11, I think, and just his determination, it's like, man, I think his endurance I'd love to
You
have.
stole it. Yeah, mine was Paul's determination.
Yep.
The guy never stopped, man. No matter what he went through. And so, yeah, that would be mine.
Reese's prediction is coming true. We're not going to, we got like 8 minutes to tackle a bunch more
I
questions.
don't know if he was waving us at time or if he didn't like the Paul answer.
Yeah, I think it was the time. So.
Yeah, that's okay. We're going to keep
All
going.
right.
All right.
Favorite memory with your wife and kids of all time?
This is a very difficult one. I have one with my wife, and then I have one probably with my kids. But
Give 'em both.
for all of them together, California this year, we traveled as a family out to California, and we just made some, we walked into Legoland. Obviously, we're boycotting Disney. But we walked into Legoland, and just the look on the boys' faces was like, this is the coolest thing ever. And so that was one of those core memories that I'll remember. Favorite memory with my wife, there's a lot of them. There's been some traveling memories that I would put very highly on the list. But just a couple nights in, where we just had some fun. So,
yeah. All that road tripping we did a couple months ago, I got to take them on a lot of it. And that's not fun. 2 1-year-old twins and a 3-year-old and a 5-year-old. It's just not fun. So we would stop every few hours, get some food, and go to a park. And it drives me nuts. I'm one of those get there kind of guys. But playing on the playground with the kids and all that just was a lot of fun. Just Kentucky, Illinois, Arkansas,
Nice.
all over the Midwest and South and all that. So,
what's your hottest biblical take?
ooh, you go ahead.
Oh, making me go first on this one. We're hopefully going to drop an episode on it soon. I'm like 90% of the way to being a permanence view of marriage type of guy.
Okay.
Marriage, divorce, and remarriage, hot topic. Permanence view. Look it up if you're not familiar with it. That's probably hot. That's probably a pretty hot one.
I had a really hard time with this. A fun one I had a discussion with some guys with recently was Job can be found outside of Job. And that could go really, really deep. Like he might be referenced a few times in the Bible.
Oh, that's
elsewhere.
interesting. Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
What's yours? I'm curious.
I didn't write one down. You guys know me.
Oh, boy.
I would get in
There's
trouble
always got
on this
ones.
podcast.
That's true. Oh, that's right. Yeah, no, we can't. Moving
All right.
on.
Yes.
29.
your personal role model. And this was a listener question. You can't say Jesus.
My dad, for sure. That's pretty easy for me.
This is really difficult. Jackie and I were talking about this. I think I have role models. My dad's a role model in a lot of ways, and then there are other people that I would look to be a role model in other ways. I think you're a role model of mine. Will, there's things that obviously the determination, the knowledge, as I talked about, like those are the things that I think I take from a lot of different people. That's a cop-out answer, but there's not one person that I look at and go, man, everything about them is what I want to be. There's multiple parts of multiple people that I think I would like.
Sure.
But my dad would be a big one, for sure.
All right. So I just had a marriage and family question. We're going to switch it up. How would you spend your day if your wife and kids were gone and you had no work to do?
Okay. I made a list. I clean the house a little bit. I would...
Are you serious?
I was
Oh,
gonna
yeah.
say,
On your
does that
one day?
work? Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
like-
Oh, my goodness.
Because
All right.
I don't feel good if things are not clean, and it gives you something like I did something today instead of I just wasted my entire day. Like I did something, so I would do that. I'd start, and then I would probably call up a friend, see if they want to hit up or go watch a movie, go out to eat, come home, read a good book, watch a sports game, something like that, and get in bed. That would be so reading. I like going to the movies. There's hardly
You're a
anything to
movie-
go.
yeah,
There's
movie
hardly
theater.
anything to go see. I haven't been in forever.
That's
But
one of the
when
things I
there
was
is a
going to
good
bring
one.
up. What's one thing you wish could be brought back? Good cinema.
Good
That'd be
movies.
nice.
I liked going
Family
to
movies, man.
True.
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly.
I it's been so long. I have no idea. I'd read, go to the gym, go to a coffee shop maybe. Honestly, I would sit down and write. I enjoy writing. I don't get it like all the other duties make it really hard to sit down and do focused writing. So yeah, I know that's work, but
I'd play golf.
there you
Golf
go.
would be a good one.
Get that 80.
Alyssa and I are starting to give each other an hour or two a week where we just have that, where we go. And it has been very nice. And I go and I make notes. My notebook's over there. But I make notes, my little notebook, therapy notes, biblical ideas. I brainstorm and just kind of journal. And that's been very nice.
It's more
okay.
of a mild breeze, but
But yeah, well, I touch it. Okay. never mind. What's one thing you wish had never been invented?
Income taxes. Will?
Yeah.
I couldn't think of much of anything. Nukes.
There you go.
Okay.
Favorite holiday and why? Another listener question.
Thanksgiving is my favorite holiday. Coming up here soon. In fact, this will be dropping the week of Thanksgiving. I think.
Absolutely.
So happy Thanksgiving to everybody.
Yes.
I love the values that are centered around Thanksgiving. I love Christmas a lot too. In fact, the Christmas season I probably like better. Just more cool things about it. But Thanksgiving Day, my favorite holiday. You got your family there. You're watching football. Beautiful weather, typically. Good food. There's just such a homey, welcoming feel about Thanksgiving that just can't beat.
I think Thanksgiving is the best holiday. My favorite, actually, now that I think about it, is Christmas. And it's because the great food and the family time that you get at Thanksgiving, I also get at Christmas.
And you get it for longer.
But you get it for longer. You get gifts. You're giving gifts. You get to see the joy on people's faces, especially with the kids. There's nothing like getting to see your 5-year-old walk into a gift that he's like, it makes his entire year. So that's probably my favorite now. Will, I think that's you.
We're at number 30 for me. Oh, I'm excited about this one. Mount Rushmore of restaurants you won't be found dead in.
Ruby Tuesdays, Applebee's, Cheddar's, and Golden Corral.
Okay.
Oh, Golden Corral
Golden
has to be on
Corral.
the list. That's
Yeah,
great.
I thought
Yeah.
about that one. Applebee's, Long John Silver's, Johnny Carino's, if they're still around, and TGI Fridays. I always like the food at Carino's. The worst service of anywhere ever.
It's true.
Long John
TGI
Silver's
Fridays.
was a good inclusion.
Yeah.
The grease is, oh man,
It's
bad.
not good.
I like that.
All right.
It's a good one.
31,
okay,
Joe.
31. Here we go. What's one fact about you that very few know?
It came up earlier. I'm actually quite good in the kitchen, I would say. Patting myself on the back.
That's very true. He's got a lot of good stuff.
Some people know it, some don't. I like name brand clothing, and I really like to buy shoes. Love buying shoes.
These
Sneakerhead.
two.
Yeah.
These two. Both of them.
Jax owns like 2 pairs of shoes. So.
And he wears White Sox with it.
Yep. Comfortable as all
Joe,
get.
did you have an answer? I'm curious.
On
Fact about you.
in fact about me? No, I'm a boring guy.
Open book.
Hockey stuff, I would say people don't know.
You might have been beaten by now, but you were the youngest graduate of Bear Valley Bible Institute.
Yeah, I don't think that sounds arrogant to say. I don't think I've been beaten. This sounds very arrogant. I don't know that I ever will be beaten as that.
I don't know. We'll have to talk when we get
I'll
off.
have to talk about it. But yeah.
All right. Is it back to me?
Yes, number 31.
What's something you're embarrassed to admit you like?
I think Taylor Swift and Justin Bieber make really good music.
I was actually,
And I'm not that embarrassed about it, actually. I think they're pretty good.
Boy.
I'm gonna say I
Roast
actually
them,
like some of
please.
Taylor Swift's songs.
Roast them, please.
Say it louder, Joe. What'd you say?
Yeah, I do like some of Taylor Swift's music. It is one of those guilty things. Matter of fact,
Guilty.
yeah, I went into my artists on iTunes and I switched her name from Taylor Swift to original artist.
Are you serious?
You know where it kind of falls
so people
into
couldn't
it,
see it.
and so
Oh
people can see
my
it.
goodness.
Yeah, and that way, because I was pretty embarrassed by it. But yes, Taylor Swift has some good music.
Reese, I'm old. I can't read that clock, man.
Do we hit 100? Oh,
our interns give
All
us
right,
the
we're into the
business
last
here.
minute. Okay.
I answered this one already with my most overrated, but most overrated movie and most overrated musical artist.
Okay. Movie, I struggle on this one. There's a lot of them. Top Gun is definitely on there. Dead Poets Society, since we already mentioned Top Gun.
It's wrong.
Dead Poets-
Robin Williams is the bad guy.
Ooh, that's a hot take. I thought it was kind of a garbage movie, and everybody says, oh, it's a classic with Robin Williams. I just didn't think it was good. And most overrated musical artist, I think, is Kendrick Lamar. I don't
You
listen
didn't
to
say
his music.
Beyonce? Gotta be Beyonce.
Oh, yeah, that's a great one. Beyonce. She's very overrated. All the female rappers are overrated. But Kendrick Lamar, people act like he is the hottest thing ever. Drake. Oh, I should have said Drake. Any rap artist, they're all overrated, man.
All right, Reese, we're not hitting the time.
I will
Okay,
say,
that's
I will
great.
say, shout out to everybody who is still with us. We know this is going to be our longest episode
Yeah, I
ever.
know.
We're
And
having fun.
It's very self-indulgent.
It
We're
is.
just goofing off. We hope you're having a good time too. Answering the questions for yourself, and again, give them the business about their music takes. Now we made
Maybe
the
to hear
80s.
Jax. He asked the question.
Yeah, exactly. What's
Please.
one thing
hold
you're
on.
embarrassed to admit, Jack? Let's
You guys,
backtrack.
I play that Carly Rae Jepsen
Carly Rae
song.
Jepsen.
I know,
Yeah,
that's
give
right.
it to him.
That is a jam.
At least
man.
Taylor Swift
All right,
is multi-platinum.
Oh yeah, it's more like the hipster.
Can
Taylor
write
Swift,
lyrics.
really.
Yeah.
All right. We already
Most
made the
overrated-
80s people mad. Let's make the 90s people mad. Overrated movie, Jurassic Park. Overrated band, Nirvana. All right, let's
Whoa!
Moving on.
He's not
Scorched
wrong,
some
but ooh.
people.
Sorry,
Okay.
90s people.
What are your biggest pet peeves?
Jack, you're up.
Next level grammatical errors. Like everybody knows the 222.
You
there,
took
there.
mine, man.
But where people say, "Oh, I'm just biased." No, you're biased. Or I was just dominant. No, you were dominant. Things like that.
I could care less.
Yes.
I couldn't care
Yeah,
less.
yeah.
Yep.
I've got 3.
Okay. People drive him crazy.
No. My biggest pet peeve is people flaking out of commitments. The flakiness of like, oh yeah, we'll see if we can make it. Yeah, we'll be there. Oh no, we can't make it. So, like, just either commit or don't commit.
Own it.
The flakiness drives me nuts. I put not knowing the basic stuff drives me nuts. Like you're supposed to know the difference in 2 and 2. You and your, or your and your. You're supposed to know these things.
Yeah.
Like it's not that hard. It's basic. And then compliment fishing. Can't stand when people compliment fish.
Oh, I'm not very good at that.
Yeah, like they're wanting you. I always never say something on purpose. Like, that's what you want. That's mean, but
chewing with your mouth open.
Yeah.
You inherited that one.
Drives me nuts. And the licking your fingers after. There's no worse sound on earth. I'd rather hear fingers on a chalkboard. So anyway,
back to me.
Back to you.
You can only listen to one album the rest of your life. What is it?
I have band on mine. Is it album?
Only
or
one.
band?
I had band.
Did I change that? I'm sorry. Yeah,
I have band.
All right. Well,
I'm changing it to artist because
Go for it.
I'm a big band guy. Morgan Wallen.
No. Okay. There you
The Beatles.
go. Okay.
Jack, what's yours? Bob Dylan.
No. If I had to pick one band, probably the Beatles.
Yeah.
So. I meant album, and I forgot I changed it on you guys. Go ahead.
All right. Favorite and least favorite thing about living in the South. I'm curious about this one.
Okay. My favorite thing I would say is friends and family being so close. You guys being here, just getting together so close and so much. I'd say that's the best. The least favorite is a tie between the humidity, but also the bugs. I think I'm getting used to the humidity. You guys grow bugs like 10 times bigger than Colorado, and like there's a 10 billion times more. Colorado, you walk out and there's like, oh, there's one mosquito on my back porch. Here, it's like I got 60 spiders in my room crawling around. I can't get through it.
Favorite is the friendliness and the vestiges of Christian culture. I mean, the Bible Belt, obviously, there's a lot of analysis goes into that, but there's still, you can be openly Christian more here than others. Least favorite, I don't have that much. Snakes, copperhead, stuff like that. So
Okay.
Nice.
Favorite Christian writer outside of obviously biblical books.
I mean, C.S. Lewis.
I hesitated to pick him, but it's because he has the fiction and nonfiction. Yeah, go with that.
I couldn't think of anybody that I would put above C.S. Lewis.
All right.
What's your answer, Joe?
Favorite Christian writer. C.S. Lewis is really good. I haven't read enough. Like R.C. Sproul's got some good stuff, which might get us killed on. I don't know.
Spit out the bones.
Spurgeon's got some stuff. Yeah, same thing. Spit out the bones. But yeah, probably C.S. Lewis. I love his stuff.
Yeah, he's got great stuff.
What is something you wish you knew better about the Bible?
I put the Greek language. I'd like to know way more about Greek, and then Bible specific, the major prophets. I'd like to deepen my knowledge there.
I was gonna say knowing Hebrew would be very nice, but typology, I'm fascinated by it. There's so much typology we've missed that now that I'm just like touching the surface of it, it's mind blowing. So I would love to get more into typological work. How about you?
Oh, sorry.
Really, Exodus through Deuteronomy. There's the law. You just kind of don't touch it. Like, oh yeah, well, there's a lot of those laws. No, there's a lot in there. It's just you got to really dig for it.
Yeah. Question 99.
99. Mount Rushmore of states you would never live in.
Man.
To make some people mad.
Yeah, don't hate me for this. Kansas, Nebraska, Oklahoma, and Wyoming. That's
Wyoming.
easy for me.
Interesting.
There's nothing there.
It's pretty.
You got the Tetons,
very pretty.
Jackson Hole.
Very pretty. But there is nothing there.
The other
I'm a
ones
big
made
city
sense.
kid.
Nice thing is you're not going to offend anybody because like 10 people live there.
You'd rather live in North Dakota than Wyoming.
Yeah, maybe North Dakota. That's
See,
true.
I had the 2 Dakotas, Nebraska, because A, Nebraska, but B, the college football thing. Yeah, just no Nebraska.
Kansas, right.
I put Kansas on the list because I never liked driving it. I will say the best fall colors I saw in all my travels.
Jack's a Kansas guy.
It was in
Oh
Kansas.
my
Jack's a
word! What a
Kansas
Kansas
guy.
I'm not a Kansas guy, but
Wow.
I was impressed. So, but it's still on my list. I just don't love it.
It's still it goes through all of
So-
it. It's still there.
I'm giving it more credit, but we got to pick something.
Oklahoma.
I mean, like, when you said never, there's places like politically I'm not going to move to right now, but they come around, I could move there.
Right.
Places, North Dakota,
North Dakota, I will change out for Wyoming.
freezing.
The
there's
other
nothing
the
there.
There's
other
just
three.
nothing in North Dakota.
Yeah, the other three I will not.
If
All
we have a
right.
listener in North Dakota, please comment. I don't think
I
that
don't
was one of our
think so.
states that got filled out. So
And tell me
Interesting.
why I'm wrong for that.
Yeah.
All the Oklahoma people, feel free to tell me why I'm wrong. You're still going to be wrong. So I know we got a lot of Oklahoma listeners. Shout out to all of them, but
A lot of them, yeah.
I just can't. I do not like that state.
Jack, read question 100. We are at the last mark here. We did not make the 100 minutes. Reese was correct, but again, shout out to everybody who listened. We had a lot of fun with this. Let's get to question 100.
Absolutely. This is from our guy Titus, one of my co-hosts on Who Let the Dogma Out. If all three hosts entered the octagon for a three-way grudge match, who would come out victorious? We decided the best way to answer this was to actually do it. So here we go.
Here we go. Yeah. Joe, let's start with you.
I would say if it was not for 2 back surgeries, I think I'd win.
Oh, here we go.
If it wasn't. With my back, it kind of depends. If my back holds up, I think I'd win just because I'd sit on you guys.
Size?
I'm a lot. Yeah,
I'm hearing
size.
excuses.
I'm a lot heavier than both of them, so I think size-wise, but I'm not near as fast and near as limber. But from size, I'd still. Here's the difficulty. Sorry, I'm hitting my mic here. Here's the difficulty: is you're obviously the most athletic. There's not a debate. Will is the most athletic. You've gotten a lot. You still have the
Raw
manpower,
strength.
the
Jack
raw
probably
strength.
has the
Because no
most,
offense
yeah.
to Will, but I don't think he's come into the full raw strength of like, the broad shoulders and
He's
such.
calling
And I
me
think he
old.
will. But I think there is But for me, I'm fat, so I just sit on you. Yeah.
Well, your turn.
I'm going to bet on myself. I think I'm winning
You
that.
kind of have to,
Yeah,
right?
of course.
I feel like
Yeah.
Will. I feel like Will probably would, but
Oh, that's 2 votes for Will.
if I like actually connected, which I'm too slow, but if I actually connected on something, I think I'd probably do more damage connecting on something.
Jack,
It's still
Jack,
gotta-
you're betting
it's still
on
gotta
yourself,
be
Well,
right?
of course, I'm betting on myself. I think more than anything, and I'm a man of fruit of the spirit, man. But I'm just meaner than both of you guys.
Yeah, Jack.
I used to fight Jack as a kid.
The way Reese was nodding his head, like everybody in the room knows it.
Well, Jack bullied Reese for years when he
Oh,
was
my
young.
goodness.
Poor Reese.
I lived with the guy. I know all about it. Yeah.
No, that Jack's bulldog mentality would probably be tough to combat.
I could
so.
tell you stories about him on the rink that are absolutely
Oh,
hilarious.
there's some fun.
I
ones.
never
I've
heard. No,
those.
that's the funny thing. I got multiple people thrown out of games for telling them to punch me, and they did, and I didn't punch back.
No,
That
it's
is
more
true.
of the mouth stuff.
Oh, my
Yeah, Jack's mouth got him in a lot of trouble.
Those are some funny stories.
You were in the box more in one
Shout-
game. There probably was my entire life.
I never fought anybody. 15 years of hockey.
Did you
Never
not?
fought anybody. Nope,
Really?
didn't.
Impressive.
Pansy
I will say, shout.
See, I told you, fruit of the spirit. The self control's there. But if I
Not
need
with
to
the mouth,
claw
it's
my
not,
way
but
out of
with
a
the-
cage,
Still
Thanks,
working on that
Titus.
James 3 tongue thing. I
Yeah,
think.
that's right. That's right. Thanks, Titus, for
Shout out to Titus for that awesome question.
That
Guys,
was a
this
great
has been a
question.
blast. Episode
Yeah.
100. We're still going to keep rolling. Episode 101's coming next week. We got a lot of good topics lined up. As always, we are wanting the suggestions that you have. We got some good suggestions with some of the questions that were submitted that we didn't have time for.
we'll probably have a good 2 question and answer episodes here sometime around the turn of the
Probably.
year.
Yeah. So, on a serious note, happy Thanksgiving to everybody. Again, best
Thanksgiving.
holiday in my opinion. I hope everybody has an awesome week. Guys, anything to add as we wrap up this very, very cool, important 100th episode of Keeper?
We went over a lot. I don't think you can respond to all 100 of the questions. If there was something you felt really passionately about, or we got something wrong, or if you're a big Jurassic Park fan or something, throw it in the comments. We'd love to hear people's takes, things they
And
agree with,
we'll
disagree
do
with.
a deep end probably just because
Oh, yeah.
we need to, and I don't know what we'll cover yet. But yeah, if you've got something you disagree about, let us know.
Yeah. The deep end will be made up of all your comments. So
There you go.
comment lots, and we'll talk.
And we'll tell you who won the cage match. So if,
Yeah, there
if
you
you
go.
want
You gotta
that
tune in for
result,
that.
yeah, you got to.
So when I show up in a wheelchair,
somebody kicked Joe in the back. All right.
Black eyes, yeah.
All right. Well, we'll wrap right there, and we'll talk to you guys next week. Thanks again for 2 years of listening, and we'll keep going,
Thanks so
Lord
much.
willing.